pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes for Monday, December 23rd. Mike is not here.
I make a motion to approve minutes
For Monday, December 23rd. I second that. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? One abstain?
Should we be signing this?
Good.
Do you guys just want to do my POs later when I come back, or do you want to give you
How many
more time?
POs do you get? How many purchase orders do you
I
have?
got 3 or 4.
We should have enough time, because we can still do the sterile.
Yeah, after we got certain market beverages.
And that can be, we can do that at any time.
Okay.
Didn't want to forget it, because today's the last.
Today's the last day, right?
Yeah.
I
How much
guess
time you get in each,
Oh, I don't know, I just got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Like a follow-up on that last meeting we had up here. It really shouldn't take much time, I wouldn't think.
Okay, okay. Let's go ahead and, yeah, so let's go ahead and, let's get cereal malt beverage, let's go ahead and get those. And then, probably get stuff, we probably get all my stuff for the budget hearing at 1:30.
Is Pat going to get back prepared, or?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, juvenile.
juvenile.
Okay, it's for Potter.
So you never know sometimes.
Okay.
We already signed that one. There's a, and then there's the actual application. We're doing 2 of them, one for consumption on the premises and one for animal consumption. So they can sell the
Carry out.
back or carry out.
Okay.
Same thing.
Potter store.
Power store.
So we probably need a motion, did we do a motion on those, or I think we did a motion?
I think you made a
Yeah.
motion.
I entertain a motion to approve, individual sole proprietor application to sell cereal malt beverages, 2 for the Potter, and Miller, and, Potter General Store.
Well, you just, there's 2 different certificates. Do you want a motion to cover both of them?
You can just cover both of
Yeah.
them. Make a motion
I
to
move
approve
we
both of them.
approve the applicant, or both of the cereal malt licenses for 2014 for the Power store, whatever it is.
Potter Store and,
It's an individual to do it.
yeah, Linda Miller.
But no,
I
okay.
second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried 3-0. There's somewhere on here I should sign to,
Yeah, you can do it.
yeah, here. In this box or something.
Doesn't matter. It's just part of our record. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Matt, get the purchase orders.
First one is for, set of brakes for a belly dump trailer. Second one are brakes and, shoes for, one of the silver sterling, dump trucks. Not yet, probably, as soon as, this spring, as soon as we get the full calls for them. Last one is, from Joe Slutsbaum for the drain tile that we used up on River Road. Yeah, during the spring when we pour salt beds out, we try to pull that off, put on a billboard and take it Also, I need to make sure Pauline gets this in the minutes. I need you to authorize me, for the high-risk rural roads project out on 262 Road. We have to buy right-of-way on 3 parcels of land. The total will be $3,332.
$1,332?
$3,332 for all 3 parcels. Just need authorization to make those.
I so move.
Second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There was some talk about that gas line, that one too, did you get that resolved?
Yeah, we had them go out and pothole it, and we decided the gas line was deep enough.
Keep it up.
Yep.
And you'll get a hold of 377 about the bus route for next year, or by
Yeah.
When are they planning on starting that safety grant project?
It'll be, early spring, around April.
Well, we have to need to be making some notifications, I mean, what the roads actually, what, you know, be able to still utilize the roads, or,
Yeah, close that road.
I don't think it's ever been quite resolved whether the contractor was gonna do all 3 of them at one time or do one at a time. So that will have a little
a
bit of.
little bearing on what,
Yeah.
but hopefully I need to talk to you.
You can probably do 2 of them at a time, just keep one access.
We gotta have one access.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Be quicker.
Yeah. And that's all I had. What's that? Out here on 262 at, Osborne, Rollins, and, Ottawa. We got a rural high-risk, grant to, you know how they got those moon-shaped, intersections where you can, it's got a curve in it?
I'm really not familiar with that, I don't think.
Well, like,
South
South
Pine
Pine
View,
View,
South Pine.
there,
Yeah.
where it still curves,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna take that curve and it'll just be a 4-way intersection.
There's been some accidents, a couple of them have been accidents, so wasn't it at 90%, we get 90%?
Yeah.
We have to pay 10%.
Cost share on that.
Yeah, we only have to pay 10%.
Wish we could get that on the bridges.
I hope we can.
It's high-risk rural road.
80/20 is about the best chance we get on that.
20% on the 3.
80/20,
Oh,
and we don't qualify till 2015.
that's what we discussed here at the other meeting.
Yeah.
And there's no sure sign we get some money then, is there, or are we pretty much get some money at 215?
Well, we know we'll get some, we just don't know how much.
Yeah, yeah, depends on the priority of project, too, you gotta weigh that out. Man, I was told by somebody that back in the early 2000s, the state, we got like $400,000 or $500,000 automatically each year for bridges. Is that, or that you have to apply for, you know?
Not that I know of.
Maybe
That
that was,
was-
maybe that was just if you qualified for, because, you know, some of those bridges cost quite a bit.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, you know, that was quite a while before I
Well, you
had anything to do with it, but, I'm not aware of anything.
But I'll check out this source. Because the next commissioner told somebody else that they used to get $100,000 automatically from
How much?
the state, 500,000.
Oh, I don't think so. I might be wrong, but I've never seen any kind of money like that.
It's a heck of a program, what do you do?
Yeah, we need to get back on that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can take it whenever she comes. She just said she had a representative. Should I?
Yeah,
You're
Roger.
the closest one,
You ready for me?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Well, not quite, but I'll-
Free, happy free. Merry Christmas.
Huh?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Well, there's 12 days of Christmas, though.
Sound like my phone here. You ready for me? We actually have two issues here today. The first issue is we sent you a resolution on the new land description. I have, previously I presented to you a copy of the contract for Dave Clark as land surveyor. And since then, Dave and I have gotten together. He's looked at about 6 parcels that we have a problem with. He's going to be reviewing the information and making us a recommendation on exactly how to handle that. Is that am I appropriate to proceed with this, Pat?
Yes. This was circulated earlier. I made one change to it after it was circulated, and that is in the now therefore be it resolved paragraph. It previously said that the county appraiser shall not process any original land descriptions unless the same is supported with the survey. And I added in that original land descriptions by a measured description rather than by a fractional description. And because the fractional description, if somebody owns a section of land, they can sure sell the north half of that without having to get that surveyed. And that was never our intention to prohibit something like that. It just had to do with really somebody carving off a part of a smaller parcel. So, I received no comments back from I shouldn't say that. Roger and I talked about it, he was in agreement with what I said back, so that's a comment back, but I didn't get any other feedback from it.
For the most part, we're not trying to create anyone any difficulty here. The problems that we're dealing with here are issues that truly have problems that they don't close, they aren't in the right location, and then you end up with parties on both sides of the issue who may not really know what they're agreeing to because the property isn't what they thought it was. And in those cases, oftentimes we can kick the can down the road, but when it comes up, it's going to be a problem for someone. And it's our intention, when we run into those, that we can resolve those issues and say, let's fix them now rather than moving on later. We're not trying to go back in time, do a whole lot of earlier things, but I am setting currently on about 5 or 6 descriptions that are truly bad. And I don't know what to do, so we are requesting of the county surveyor to instruct me on how he would proceed. That's his professional duty and prerogative as a registered land surveyor of the state of Kansas.
And these 5 or 10% of the descriptions that come across his desk, probably take up 80% of the mapping time. I keep telling the percentages, but
It's probably closer to 1%.
1% of
Yeah.
it take up what percent of the time?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, we've got one of these that I know has eaten at least 3 people's time for at least 2 days. You know, and it's just, it's because the owners on both sides will come in and argue their cases. We're put in a position to try and be a judge. We're not really a judge. All we're trying to do is drag records and say, folks, there's a problem here. And we have one that we know of right now by dam number 8 that we repeatedly have been dealing with the issues because it's got a judge involved, it's got everybody else involved with it. And there are several people who may not be agreeing to what's happening. I don't want to put it on paper because it's just wrong. Whoever does it is going to get blamed, and I don't want that. That's not what we're here for. We're here to record and put things in that are correct. Essentially, what we're asking you to pass on is agreement with state statutes, and I just want I want you to know that we would be enforcing that when necessary.
The statute really doesn't address our issue. It says that, you know, that they're supposed to, the surveyor is supposed to record something, but it doesn't really say what happens if the surveyor doesn't. And so this is our response to that.
Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt. Will that affect me in any way, what we're discussing here today?
I don't know how we would know that. Are you transferring property with drawing up your own description of the property?
I mean, is that what we're discussing today? That's the issue here? I mean, what is the issue? Exactly.
You wrote it along and not being correctly surveyed, is that simple word?
That's how simple it is. It's just a matter that we have not been requiring what the state law requires in terms of property descriptions. Things have been filed with the Register of Deeds that are inappropriate for me to put on paper, and then people wonder why they are not receiving a tax bill. And again, it's an issue that I can't locate something that someone has created on their own that doesn't work.
There's some parcels out west of town where this is a road, and so basically it's all illegal subdivision.
It's been given to us,
Okay.
and it's just a matter of who's going to go to get this correct.
We have a,
I guess what I want to know, if I sold
And
a
on
piece of
1383.
property, do I have to hire a surveyor?
You're dealing with what you've already received.
That's going to be my next issue
That's
here.
not a change, it's going apart
Well,
of
the
your
application.
land.
Oh, well,
You need
that's
a
right.
surveyor
You guys have an
to
I would
correct
have
it
to
right.
hire a surveyor.
Come in to correct it right.
That's all I got.
I mean, what happens if I
These
win?
lines are
Oh, okay.
angles and stuff like that. I don't know how to
Okay.
make one of those.
I just need one.
That's what we're running into a lot of problems.
So if I was to sell a piece of property, I would have to hire a surveyor to survey. Is that what you're saying?
It's best to do that, yes.
I mean, would I have?
This is going to be the next issue, and I'm not trying to hold
Yeah, I
up
can
on
split it
that,
off from another part.
but I'm just handing things
And
out.
that's what's been done for years now.
We need a motion to approve this, the resolution. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve resolution number 2013-1383 as presented.
Have a second.
A second, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 230. She said 2.
Actually, can I get one of those back? It doesn't necessarily be signed, but
I need an original one, I guess we could give one to, Roger.
So everybody, in fact, it'll be on the same page, deeds, everybody that's,
Yeah, I mean,
I figured it would, I just want to make sure.
I don't know if this pertains to anything that you want to discuss, but we've been talking about this, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Actually, we've been discussing it for about 3 months, yeah,
But I mean, this particular
yeah,
resolution stuff, it just been the last 2 or 3 weeks.
yeah.
So it's not like we're doing something.
Typically,
Well,
the
I
biggest,
just didn't understand what we were talking about here for sure. I kinda got an explanation from you, but.
yeah, I think what we get, what the big problem is like, you sell off that ground, or you sell a parcel, and then that parcel's transfer, we're seeing some issues with illegal subdivisions on.
The Attorney General's opinion is that you can sell land as long as it's the adequate description, and that means you could sell northwest quarter of the northwest quarter, and because it requires no dimensions or angles, that's fine. But once you get into angles, dimensions, and selling small portions of property, then those should be created by a land surveyor and supported with a survey of the property, which is filed with the Register of Deeds. And so that is the general premise on which we're acting here. Our biggest problem is when people create their own, and when they do, there are errors in what they do. And those errors then make it impossible for us to correctly locate the property. Again, there are going to be attorneys involved. There are old descriptions which are rolling on forever, and for the most part, we're not trying to go back on any of those. All we're trying to do is, from this point forward, we want no new problems issued. Okay? The next issue that we have, and I know I've been talking about this with you the past several months also, at some point I was appointed as the floodplain manager. Shortly after that, the State of Kansas Department of Agriculture contacted me about attending a workshop for 4 days. It was of no cost to the county other than my travel and a little bit of food. I went to Wichita for 4 days, at which time they cornered me and said Atchison County was out of compliance with our commitments to floodplain management, and that they wanted to see us brought back into compliance. Based upon that, I came back and dug for information related to that, and what I discovered, getting them from various different parties, is that there are 4 things which affect us here, and I'm going to roll through 3 of them with you that I put in front of you right now, and then I want to hand out a 4th one. The first one is that on October 31st in 2005, the county passed a resolution on floodplain management. That resolution set out exactly what it is that they were supposed to do. I want to review a few of the highlighted points in this. At the bottom of page number 2, it says to establish and maintain county eligibility for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program as defined in 44 Code of Federal Regulations. Okay? And it goes on to describe additional portions of that 44 Code of Regulations that would be affected. Next, it does say that in all areas covered by this resolution, no development shall be permitted except through the issuance of a floodplain development permit granted by the Board of County Commissioners of the Atchison County, Kansas, its duly designated representative under such safeguards and restrictions as the Board of County Commissioners of Atchison County or the designated representative may reasonably impose for the promotion and maintenance of the general welfare, health, and inhabitants of the community, and is specifically noted in Article 4. Okay? Turning on to page 4, down under number 1, review all applications for floodplain development permits to assume that sites are reasonably safe from flooding. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And then to review all subdivision proposals and other proposed new development, including manufactured homes or subdivisions. Okay, those are things, this was agreed to not by any of the 3 of you, but by 3 former county commissioners. And they had already agreed to this, filed this with the state, and as you will notice on each of these pages, these had been filed with Water Resource Division of the Department of Agriculture, and that's actually where I gleaned these copies from. Okay? Turning on.
I got a question, Roger.
Yes.
This last one, now, is this, basically says, trailer home parks, is that strictly in floodplain, is that throughout county?
I think I will better answer your question as we move on, but it is saying that we are to regulate those within the floodplain. We're to assure that they do not occur in the floodplain unless they occur in a certain manner. But as you will see as we move on through this, that what Division of Water Resources and FEMA essentially say is that unless you issue building permits or development permits, you can in no way guarantee that you're doing that, okay? That is their general premise. Yes, we only want to regulate them within the floodplain, but we can't regulate them within the floodplain if we don't require a permit to find out if they're going to be there, okay? Moving on through this section, all the way to page number 9. There's also a section that says the Atchison County Appeal Board, as established by Atchison County, Kansas, shall hear and decide appeals and requests for variance from floodplain management requirements of this regulation. I don't believe we have those right now, and I'm not yet proposing one. Okay? Moving on through to page number 11. Penalties for violation. It has already been set up that a violation of this provision for failure to comply with any of its requirements, including violations and conditions and safeguards established in connection with the granting of variances, shall constitute a misdemeanor. So they have already passed all of these things which deal with it. The next page, page 12, is speaking about development, and this gives the address of the definition of development as they see it and as it's defined in our very own management regulation. Development means any man-made change or improvements or unimproved real estate to unimproved real estate, included but not limited to buildings, other structures, levees, levee systems, mining, dredging, filling, grading, paving, excavating, or drilling operations, or storage of equipment and materials. Okay? So that's the definition which is in our ordinance. Now, that is section 1. The second thing which you have in your packet, stapled separately, is a letter from FEMA accepting our resolution as an acceptable law. The third thing you have in your packet, oh, and within that, there is a clause on the second page of that that says, in addition, all loans obtained from federally regulated, supervised, or insured lending institutions that are secured by improved real estate located in a safe flood hazard area, as also conditioned upon the borrowers obtaining flood insurance coverage in the building, on the building securing the loan. However, purchasing and maintaining flood insurance coverage on a voluntary basis is frequently recommended from properties located outside of the special flood hazard areas. This is a clause which basically says that all federal loans are going to be required to comply with this ordinance. And that's where I've come back to you and said, this is why the previous group adopted it, because without it, they basically shut down a lot of development in Atchison County. Moving on to the next resolution that you have in here is Resolution 1264. This one was passed on January 3rd, 2006. And you go down to bullet number 1. Therefore, be it resolved, the County Commission assures the Federal Insurance Administration that it will enact as necessary and maintain in force in those areas having flood hazards adequate land use and control measures with effective enforcement provisions consistent with the criteria set forth in 60.3 of the National Flood Insurance Regulation. Now, what I am going to additionally hand out to you here, so that you have all this information. I hope this is being beneficial running through this with you, what it is you're already faced with. I'm not trying to give you this information and ask you to pass it. This is what's already in the records. This is CFR and under CFR 44, if you will, I gave you the title page, and then this section's actually 70 pages long. I printed you about 8 pages of it, just so that I could point out some highlights. On the second page of this, it says areas of special flood hazard. It tells you what those are, and those are essentially what we have always known as the 1% chance of flooding, or the 100-year floodplain. So when they refer to special flood hazard area, that's what they're talking about. Base flood refers to the elevation of that 100-year flood in any given location. Rolling on through in the definition, page 4. Again, the development definition that's there is the same as the definition which has been adopted in your ordinance, to see where that definition came from and why it wasn't changed. The next page, which is page 25, this is the meat of the issue, which was pointed out directly to me by the Department of Agriculture. Number 1, requirement permits for all proposed construction or other development in the community, including the manufactured homes, so that it may be determined whether such construction or other development is proposed within flood-prone areas. And their bullet of their definition on the right-hand side says, the county must permit all development because there is no other method of identifying flood risks. Now, based on that,
Is that, that's the department or whoever this issue, that's their interpretation, right? Is that contained in the original resolutions?
this is actually the CFR, which is the federal regulation. And that is the definition in the federal regulation.
What I'm saying is, I guess there really was nothing, and of course, I haven't had time to read through all this, but there wasn't anything in the original resolutions that passed that said you had to permit them, right?
Yeah, there is.
There is.
The original resolution which was passed says you have to comply with CFR 44.
Okay, it didn't specifically say that.
It's not specifically listed in that resolution, but it references the regulations.
Okay, that's what we're getting at.
It references these regulations and says you have to comply with these regulations.
What
And then
if you have a person has a trailer home in the flood area now and they want to replace it, and they say, I'm not getting it. I've been here for 50 years and I'm not going to do nothing different. But how you gonna find them?
My primary purpose for bringing this to you is to say that without doing this, you have committed to the Department of Agriculture that you will. And so if someone complies with your regulations and does not come in here and does not find out and build within that floodplain, I want to protect you from the liability that you may have. I'm not trying to, I don't really want this personally. This is nothing I want. It's just a matter that I've tried to be very open and say, I think there's a liability here, and I'm trying to protect you all from that.
It appears to me it's, that these resolutions were passed, you know, in good faith and stuff, not, but they haven't been fully executed to comply with what you're saying. And we would be liable if somebody wouldn't build, they built without knowing that there was a floodplain. We could be just as liable. We'd be liable for that. Is that what you're saying? Could be.
I don't want to say whether we're liable or not. I just don't like that exposure.
Because basically, going through this, it's our duty to ensure that they're not in that zone.
That's exactly what we have committed to do, is to assure that they're not in that zone. I will go on to say,
I don't think it's an issue of liability. If you're asking whether or not we can sue for not doing it, I don't think so. But I think it's really possible that you could have somebody say, oh my gosh, I would not have done this if you guys had done your job.
That's what
And, you know, I would not have built a cabin here or a house in this area if I had known this was in the floodplain. It was your job to tell me that, or the county's job. So,
Where does that put those, say you're in that situation, where does that put those people when they go to apply for flood insurance? Or would they even apply for flood insurance? I guess they probably wouldn't if they wanted a floodplain.
if they have no loan, it's probably not going to come to their attention. If they are getting a loan on their property, their lending institution, we were told that something like 92% of all loans now are federally backed. If that be the case, then their mortgage company is going to ask for a
Floodplain
Well, they're gonna ask for a certificate saying that they're okay.
Yeah.
We just recently had a situation where, someone came in, to build on their property and wanted something from us saying that they were not building in the floodplain. We can't do that because we have no process. So instead, we had to say there is floodplain on your property, and that requires them to do a certificate of elevation before they can get insured. That CE that they have to get cost them $800. About $800 is what I was told. Had we had this simple little building permit process at the time, they could have submitted a plan, we could have said, here's where they're gonna build, and then that assures that they're not building in that floodplain. But right now, we have no plan, no documentation, or anything that says that these people are not gonna build in that floodplain.
Like on page 25, number 1,
Yes.
it says requires permits. Is there any other wording you could use besides permits?
This is CFR, the federal
You can't
regulation.
change it.
We didn't adopt this.
This is not.
This is the reference that was in our ordinance. This is federal regulation. We're not gonna alter this at all.
I'll call Mr. Long tonight.
You can ask for an exemption.
Yes. If that permit wasn't in there, I think it'd fly. Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I applied for a couple addresses here a while back, a few years ago, and that was one of the first questions they asked, if it was in the floodplain.
Who asked you?
I don't remember exactly, but that was a question that was asked. Before they give me an address, they had to check that out. So,
Well, he applied up here for an address. You applied up here for,
I don't remember exactly how I did it.
You applied out emergency management.
yeah, but it would've been through us, Bill, it would've been through.
Was it emergency management? I
Out
don't,
of Effingham?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
no, I don't believe so.
Really?
Well, right now, on the addressing, we look at the flood map,
Okay, that,
but what we can't do is tell exactly where they're gonna put that house on that parcel. If there's some flood on that parcel, we have to tell, and we have to mark it, it's in the floodplain. Maybe the house won't be, but we can't guarantee that, so.
maybe that's how that worked. I remember that was an issue.
When we redefined all the flood zone maps, I mean, there's varying degrees of 100-year, 500, I might say it wrong, but 100-year, 500, I know they have different levels, and most of those maps have changed. Some for the better, some areas they've taken out of the flood risk zone, some they've added different layers.
I remember that was a question they asked. I'm not sure they can give me an address if they had it in the floodplain.
Yeah.
We mark that you have to go down and get one of the certificate things, not from
Well,
us,
they
we
don't
can't do it.
It says
Right.
it says right there,
Right.
it's resolution 1264, it says right there.
It'll just be, yeah, it'll just be in.
It says right there in resolution 12, that paragraph, whole page.
Mark will just, whatever.
My point is, I'm not trying to push you into something. I'm saying,
Really?
the people before you already agreed to this. The state has approached me and said they wanna come in here and, get it enforced, and I'm saying, let me talk and see if we can move ourselves into compliance without having the state come in. That's the position I'm in right now. You are gonna be faced with another ordinance here before long for the new mapping that's going on. And at such time, it's gonna be required all over again, they're gonna want to assure compliance. It's just one of those issues that every once in a while, they're supposed to figure out whether or not we're complying with the rules. One of the questions that comes up often is, how are other communities dealing with this? We're one of the very few communities that do not have a permit, a development permit right now. Now, do you have copies of the proposed development permit in front of you?
I copied mine off the computer.
Let me make sure that you have one. My idea here is nothing very complicated. It's just to say, to put it all on the same permit, because right now,
And you can look at it.
we are in a situation where, somebody comes in, they want to get a, NRA revitalization tax exemption, they look at that. Somebody wants an address, they look at that. There's not one thing that says we're doing this, this, and this, and this. What this permit is to do is just to say who you are, where the project is, a description of the project, with the site plan, and then whether it's new construction, substantial improvement, or minimal improvement, whether it includes fill, grade, or excavation, the current value, what you think the new value is going to be, or the value of the improvement,
After.
and then does it need an address?
If not, we'll have.
Will it apply for an NRA tax rebate? And if so, it says a separate application is necessary. Will project require waste disposal? If so, a separate application is going to be necessary, and those, we already have those applications.
No.
Is it in a special flood hazard area? If yes, an elevation certificate is required. That's in law. Is the development in a floodway? And if yes, you have to do a no-rise certificate. That's in the rules. We've already passed that. And then the section down below, you only have to have that filled out if you're actually developing in a special flood hazard area. The back is just the notice and the signature. And in the instructions, one of the things I will tell you is, it says the site plan will be required for all permits. In many cases, the staff will be able to assist you in preparation of that plan to assure that nothing will occur within a special flood hazard area. We're not trying to make this difficult. I don't want this process any more than you. It's just, I've been handed the responsibility for it, and I cannot tell you I can watch it the way it is right now.
I've been filling out some of the people in my area, what they feel about zoning, and I've heard 4 or 5 of them said, just wait until the state will have you zoned before long. Is this kind of the first step?
The Department of Agriculture is very quick to say no. On the other hand, I will tell you, this sets up a regulation on flood-prone property that also has a board of variance. That's all in their regulations, and I'm going to tell you, that is a restriction of a land use. That is the basic definition of zoning. Now, I'm not asking for anything else, but in Leavenworth, when this happened, instead of having this as a separate ordinance, it actually was adopted as a chapter within the zoning ordinance, because it used the same Board of Appeals. You don't have a zoning ordinance to include it in, you don't have another Board of Appeals, and so it becomes a separate ordinance. Okay? Did I answer your question?
Sort of.
Just another little comment. There's a secondary benefit to this. When we got the last aerial photography that we received, I think we found at least 6 either new buildings or additions to buildings. We had no idea that it even happened. And we only have to inspect once every 6 years. So this would help us to obtain that information up front.
So in other words, there are buildings that didn't go into revitalization, so
Right.
they didn't really have any,
There's
there's no paper trail back to your office.
No. The
I'm
only way we found them
surprised
is
that
to
would
the
happen.
aerial photography. So.
I'm surprised that would happen.
Yeah. No, okay. But anyway, there is another benefit here, so.
I'm just surprised this has been in effect for almost 8 years. And we're just now talking about enforcement of it. I guess I'm just,
No,
where does that process, I mean, how we got to 8 years and,
Well, I don't know if Roger told you about the scary discussion he had with the Department of Agriculture about enforcing our floodplain rules. You might tell him.
Well, I'm always cautious about exposing anything in a public meeting, but, they were pretty animate, huh? They were fairly animated with me at the fact that they have been directed to get Addison County into compliance, and we're ready to come in here. Part of my conversation was, well, wait a minute, you have me down to a 4-day workshop, and then you're gonna come in and thug the county commission. Why don't you at least extend me the courtesy to try and move this issue forward without that? And part of the problem is, if we're not in compliance, they have several abilities. One of the abilities is that they can say, you're not in compliance with this, so we're not going to give you any participation in FEMA assistance that happened because of a disaster in your county. that is one of their common enforcement practices. What would happen for sure, they would probably send us a notice and say, get in compliance by this date, or we're gonna take further action. The other part of it is, and this is written within the documentation here, it does actually say that the counties can find themselves liable for situations which they fail to correctly enforce. But I can't imagine them enforcing that, but that's not to say that the courts wouldn't enforce that. So it's just a matter that I'm not requesting the rights to enforce this. I'm just uncomfortable with where we sit right now. I'm informing you of our situation so that you can help direct me in what you want done. Should you choose to say, we don't want anything to do with that, then
There's consequences for the decision.
that's
Big consequences.
Who is the department that you talk to?
Tom Moore.
Who?
Tom Moore.
More?
Yes, he is the state National Flood Insurance Program Coordinator with the Kansas Department of Agriculture. I can give you an email address also. Actually, I would be more than happy to email you all his contact information. Okay?
Or does he fall in the whole chain of?
He is the state of Kansas floodplain
But I mean,
management.
the Secretary of Agriculture, is he that about him?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need.
So in the meantime,
Yeah. In the meantime, and one of the questions I present to them, and is the question that is often presented to me, is, so what are other communities doing about this? I want to tell you, we're one of the very, very few in the state of Kansas that does not have a development permit right now. And that does not say, this has nothing to do with zoning, this has nothing to do with building regulations, this has nothing to do with all of the other things that we're talking about. This is nothing but a permit where someone needs to say if they're building something, and then we can inform them if they're building in that floodplain. And we have committed to require certain things if they are developing in that floodplain. There are no setback regulations in this, there's nothing else.
Well, yeah, I guess that's my question. I want to make sure it would be clear that the only thing we're trying to determine is in the floodplain. It's not who's building it. It's in a floodplain, in other words, I'm not going to deny Matt permit just simply because, he's building it. It has to be, the criteria basically, that they're not getting the permit, or they have to go through the whole process because they are building the floodplain. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I mean, I know there'll be people out there saying, well, now, you're just gonna go through a committee process, and you may not, because I'm so-and-so, I may not get a permit.
There's no committee. The fact is, it's just asking you if you need an address, if you're going to apply for a revitalization, because those are issues right now that affect the building. Until you've applied and been approved for that, you can't start building.
The answers on this will determine
That's right.
the outcome, so it's pretty objective, what you're saying.
And for the most part, we can look at the floodplain on the GIS, print out a copy of their site, look at exactly where it is, and we can put some rude dimensions on there that say, I'm not gonna build further than 400 feet from here and 200 feet from here, and we can resolve the issue right away. This is not a delay, and it's not a committee decision. It's either it's out of the floodplain or it's in question. And I will tell you, those people who are in the floodplain, there is regulation, there is a 2012 congressional bill called Biggert Waters that will create huge problems for people in the floodplain. It is geared at ending the subsidy for flood-prone areas.
So does this fall under just a general building permit? I mean, in other words, if you're building anywhere, you're gonna have to go through this process.
That is what these requirements ask.
Because I can tell you how I live is as high as we are, there's not much problem with point.
And so you're gonna come in, put your name and address down, we're gonna print out a copy of it attached to this, and sign off and say there's no problem.
Mr. Chairman, by looking at the clock, we either need to act on this or table it till next week, because we're
Yeah,
gonna
let's take, let's do a little more further discussion. I understand where we're at, some of their phone calls too. I think you bring up some good points, and I understand. It isn't gonna be totally a win-win situation.
In the meantime, somebody comes in to build, we should probably get an agenda.
Oh, yeah.
We need to probably address this pretty quickly, because,
Before the state comes in.
well, I think you probably need to, I think we can avert that. Basically, if you look at Resolution 1264, they already, 8 years ago, said we had to adhere to this. That's basically what you're looking at, we're just trying to clean up.
act on this adjourn next Tuesday.
That's fine.
I'd make your amendment, yes, yes.
Motion to table.
Table, take action until next Tuesday's fine.
Second.
Yeah, we appreciate your work.
Signify by aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And again, this is,
Thank you.
I'm not pressing you for the issue, I'm just trying to figure out how to keep
Well, I
everyone.
clearly understand what we're up against, so, it's, and I can tell you, you don't want the state coming in, setting the rules, because it won't be that easy.
You know what, if you look at that, I don't think you've ever seen a Sumter building permit. Because it's basically just informing you of what you need to know. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Roger.
Donna, I think you get a requisition order, is that correct?
Yep, and some purchase request. I'll stand, that's okay. First one is, we have an electronic file stamp, and we file stamp all documents that come in our office. The file stamp is getting to the point where we're more frequently sending it in to be repaired. And the last time we sent it in, they looked at it and they said, well, it's 15 years old. I think basically we've worn it out, so I'd like to purchase a new one, if I could. Price for that is $815.12. And then my next request is, when I had budgeted for 2013, there was 2 office chairs that I wanted to replace. And I've gotten a price on that, but I didn't know there are adequate funds if I could go ahead and replace 3 chairs, because I've got another chair that's starting to get in bad shape. The price for the chair is $390 per chair. I think if you buy a really cheap chair, you're just going to know whether or not it's on the wall. So I'll go ahead and purchase it.
That's all I need.
Happy New Year.
Thanks.
You're $390 per chair. Right, and you don't purchase 3 chairs.
You're ready for me, huh?
I hope so.
Well, the last meeting, we were discussing bridge banisters on the bridge on the Levette Road, and I asked why they had been put back on that bridge. And the bridge still had the original banisters on it.
Okay.
They've been widened out over 40 years ago, and I would like to know why them banisters were put on that bridge.
Okay.
And who made that decision? That's one of the questions I've got.
Okay, we did get an answer for you on that. I don't know if Pat has the documentation, but there
I
was,
actually grabbed it off.
Oh, you took it back.
Yeah.
we have bridge inspections, is it every 4?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years, bridge inspections, and that was one of the things noted on the bridge inspection. That's from a separate engineering company, that's not us doing it, but the recommendation, I think,
Yeah, 2008, from the bridge inspection, 2008, said to reset the handrail.
Okay. You can, yeah, let them.
But the handrail were on it, correct?
They were bent down flat, they were
No,
sticking straight
they
up.
were clear flat.
Yeah, they were,
Not exactly.
so, they're, right there.
Okay, if that's the case, then, there's numerous other bridges in the county that have had the banisters cut off, and have not been replaced. Why is that? And I can get pictures of them bridges if you need them, and I get pictures of the banisters laying in the creek. Now, why haven't they been replaced, Matt?
I just,
There's numerous bridges, and it's been that way for years.
Okay, we talked about this actually earlier today, and I just looked through the bridge inspection, our last bridge inspection, and, there's nothing in there that says, that's directing me to replace any.
Well, why would that be? Who do I need to ask?
Well, it was from the bridge inspection firm. The last bridge inspection was done by Schwab Eaton.
Don't you find that kind of interesting? That the bridge banisters have been removed from all these other bridges, and no banisters have been replaced on them. Now, you need to think too, now over 40 years ago, that bridge was widened out for a reason. And then they narrowed it back up to 16 foot. So, and the equipment now is over 16 foot wide. I cannot cross that bridge, and other people can't cross it either with their combines and planters and stuff. It causes me about a 11-mile detour to get to the other side of that bridge, which is about, 40 foot long, 35 foot long. And Leavenworth County took one of their bridges that was too narrow, and they set the banisters out, put it on each side, laid a plank in there. I think that could be done to this bridge.
It's 53 foot long.
Is it 53 foot? Okay. I gotta drive 11 miles to get 53 foot. Now, I do think that that bridge could be widened.
Okay. And we had, wasn't there originally, didn't they look at?
I've got an estimate from Cook Flat right here.
Yeah.
$67,500 to widen it.
And how are they gonna widen that bridge? Do you have a diagram of that or anything, the blueprint?
No, they were gonna make it 4 foot wider, they were gonna add 2 beams, and then they would have to drive the 4 extra piling and widen up the wing
Well,
wall.
to set it out a foot on each side is all I'm asking, which would make the bridge 18 foot wide, and you could cross it with a combine and a planter and some other equipment we cannot cross it with now.
Yeah, I missed your other statement, but are you saying it was narrowed sometime?
Well,
That's not the original.
no, originally the bridge was 16 foot wide, and over 40 years ago, somebody pushed the steel banisters out, and it's been that way for 40 years. Then all of a sudden, this bridge had to have banisters put back on it. Well, the banisters are still there, they put some heavy duty banisters on it, I'll give you that.
Some of them requirements might be, I don't know where the other 30 bridges are, but I could see where you come around that curve, maybe, has that got something to do with the
I don't
balance?
see why it's got any bearing on that bridge at all.
I bet it does where you come around the curve.
And the county commission that took Mike's place blamed me for having to put banisters on that bridge because I had a piece of heavy equipment sitting about 200 feet away from that bridge. And he said, well, your equipment's sitting there, we need to put banisters on that bridge. That has no bearing whatsoever on that bridge. That's what I'm dealing with here. And that actually devalues my property. If I was to sell that property, that devalues it. And I think it would be an easy, economical fix to widen that bridge out a foot on each side. And you guys can do it. Hell, I can even help it.
Well, it would have to,
I mean, would you
It would have
consider
to be-
doing it? Would
it would have
the
to meet
commissioners
certain
consider
requirements.
looking at that and doing that for me? This is something I gotta live with the rest of my life and the next generation, with that bridge.
And you'd still have to have engineering.
yeah, you'd have to get it engineered, you're gonna have to still buy the 2 beams. If you widen out a foot on each side.
We don't need any beams. You just set the banisters out. That's what Leavenworth County did.
Well, if you set the banisters out, wouldn't there be a gap?
Well, there'd probably be about a foot gap.
Right. I don't know that.
That's
would
better.
meet- I don't know that that would meet any.
And I still have got a question on why that bridge and not the other bridges in the county? The Bannister's been off for years,
Those 30 other bridges that you're talking, you've been.
several other bridges.
Okay.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know, as far as like the
And
rotation
them
of
other
the
bridges-
inspection of the bridges, because not every single bridge in the county is inspected every year, it's just, they're on that 2-year rotation.
The main reason we replaced those guardrails is because of the corner. It's right on a corner, and, in the inspection, they said to reset the handrail. I was worried, I thought it was unsafe because it was on the curve, and that's why we put the handrail up. I also will say, before, when I directed my bridge foreman to put the, guardrails up, I told him to go talk to the Walrus and make sure what we put up was okay with them. And he told me that, you agreed to
The height of the banisters.
Right.
Yeah, I agree
So
to the
he
height of
said,
the
you
banisters.
agreed to it, so I directed him to put it up.
I mean, would you have done it different if I'd have disagreed? Would you?
Well, I can't say for sure.
Well, I mean-
We had to have banisters on the bridge.
Well, no, the banisters were already there.
They were laid flat. They were serving the.
Why were they good enough for 40 years? Has
You
the bridge,
have to-
has the bridge not been inspected
You have
in
to
40
call-
years?
Well, the only thing that's changed, and you probably missed this, but the big thing that's changed in 40 years is liability. I mean, I think that's.
Well, so has the equipment changed in
Well, I
40
agree
years.
with
You
you
know,
there.
like I just made a statement, 40 years ago, that bridge was too narrow, and it was widened out. And I know some other bridges had banisters on them 40 years ago, and they've been off them bridges for probably 30 years and have not been replaced. And I'm pretty sure that the county has removed some banisters off a certain bridge and widened it out for different things. Am I right about that,
I've
man?
never cut a banister off a bridge.
I didn't say you did. I didn't say you did, man.
Well, see, I can't speak for people that was,
Well, wouldn't that
in
be,
my
would
position
there be a
before.
record of that?
no. But since I've been road and bridge superintendent, I can assure you, we have never cut off a bridge banister, or I would let any of my employees do such. Because we would be held
Like you
liable.
said, in the 40 years.
Since I've worked for the county for almost 18 years now, and I was bridge foreman before I was superintendent, and in my time, I can't remember ever cutting off a bridge banister.
But you know there's a lot of banisters removed from the bridges. You know that.
There's some that,
There's several.
have no banisters on them.
So why aren't they an issue?
I just flipped through,
I'm just asking a question here. Why aren't the banisters back on them bridges?
well,
They get a lot more travel than this bridge does.
I think the answer is that the bridge inspections had to put these back on, and I don't know that the bridge inspection said that on the 30 other bridges that you,
I didn't say 30 other bridges.
well,
Several others.
30's number I heard earlier, but anyway, there's another one on that same sheet that said to replace the banister, and it was replaced as well.
yes.
So, I mean, it's really it's the engineer's call, it's not, it isn't the commission, or it isn't the road and bridge foreman or department head that made the decision about that. It was, engineers doing the bridge inspections.
Now, did they just widen the bridge down in your area, Henry? Or what did they do down there? Or replace the bridge?
We're replacing.
The bridge was out, they replaced it with two, if that's a bridge you're talking about.
Why did they do that?
Because it's on the bridge that was ready to be, what was it rated?
Which bridge are you talking about?
Padovic.
Yeah,
That's correct, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, we're not putting a coal, we're replacing the.
Well,
we're
he's talking
putting-
about the two there on, that's correct, I think, because the bridge hasn't been addressed yet. It's coming, but it hasn't been addressed. The two that you just put in down
We had a bridge.
Why was that bridge replaced?
there.
It failed.
Too narrow?
It failed.
Failed.
It failed.
Yeah, that's the one,
Yeah,
that's one.
The Owl Creek, you're talking
Okay,
about Owl
Alfred,
Creek.
Alfred.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bridge.
Why did it fail, or how did it fail? Who calls?
I just got a call from the township telling me I need to come down and look at it. I went down and looked at it and,
You can walk across it, and you can
Yeah.
feel it.
I mean, had it fell in, or?
yeah, there was a
There was a
big
dip.
dip in the bridge.
There was gaps too, remember?
I closed the bridge immediately.
It wasn't safe to cross.
Right.
Because we went down and looked at it, it wasn't safe to cross.
Okay, then,
Oh, maybe a motorcycle or something.
is anything gonna be done for me?
Well, I mean,
I mean, if you were in my shoes and you had to drive 11 miles to get 53 foot, wouldn't you think that maybe there could be something done with this bridge? I pay a lot of taxes, and I'm sure you guys do too. And I feel like that my tax dollars were being used against me to narrow that bridge up. You know, it's kinda how I feel about that.
No, but the bridge had really been narrowed, just the banisters.
It had been widened out, and that happened over 40 years ago, Mike, and I didn't do it.
Yeah, I understand.
And I've been accused of doing it, but I did not do it.
Yeah, I'm not-
I want that understood, okay?
I understand that, yeah.
When you said it's an 11-mile detour,
Well, you leave that bridge, you go up to Denny Finnegan's corner, up there on Morton Road, over to Slavers, back down through Eden, turn there at Dick Airplanes, and go clear back down south. That's 11 miles round trip. A little over.
I'll look that up, but I find it hard to believe it's 11 miles, but.
Well,
I'll
it's pretty
look
close
it up.
to it round trip. I'm not talking one way. I'm not
You're talking both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I think that's pretty close. I really do.
I can see that.
Mhm. Yeah, to get 53 foot, just, I think this could be remedied very, very easily and very economical. I really do.
We got one for 29 acres of pretty poor ground, we had to drive 5 miles out of the way.
Yeah, and then I got some other bridges I can't cross either, and I drive clear around or try to cross the creek to get to the other side. I mean, you know, but I just I don't understand this. And then I have another question, and I'll try not to take much more of your time. Now, the weight limits on the bridges, okay. There's a bridge, say it's got 6-ton weight limit on it, and somebody crosses that and goes through it. Now, who is liable for that? Who pays for that bridge?
right now,
Now-
that's the county has, but,
I think we'd address that on a case-by-case basis.
I mean, how would you address that on a case-by-case basis? I mean,
I think we look at the circumstances and look at the specific bridge, and, I mean, I don't think you could make a blanket statement that, the driver would be responsible, or the county would. I think it would depend on the circumstances.
well, I can't, I mean, if you were overloaded, I mean, what,
But if the bridge happened to be rotted, when they fell down, they noticed it was rotted, or that they noticed that somebody had gone in with a chainsaw and cut something on it, all those things would enter into the decision about who's gonna be responsible for it.
now, like the county, they cross bridges overloaded. Now, if they go through a bridge, who pays to replace that bridge? Do the taxpayers? And you cross bridges overloaded, I know you do, man.
Well, if they do, we're crossing our own bridge.
Well, you say you own the bridges, but the taxpayers.
The taxpayers, no, you're
Yeah,
right,
so,
you're right.
so who's gonna pay for that bridge?
Well, I assume taxpayers.
Well, if I go through the bridge, are taxpayers gonna pay for it?
I guess that'd be on a case-by-case basis.
And that's gonna happen. We cross bridges, I'm sure Mike has to, I'm sure Henry does. And you may too, Jeff, I don't know.
I think if, not putting it on somebody else, if that bridge was inspected and we were told that bridge was, it needs to be replaced, and we did absolutely nothing about it, I'd say then you may have a case, I don't know.
And we have to cross bridges with the combine, it's got a very small limit, ton limit on it. I mean, we have no choice. So I guess what I'm asking, if I go through that bridge with that combine, I don't consider what he's giving me an answer. I really don't.
I'll say this, that's one of the things that I was gonna put on my wish list for 2014, was to get a road and bridge plan. You're looking at one bridge, and if I was in your shoes, I'd probably look doing the same.
Yeah, well, I got several bridges I got
But
issues
to
with.
go out there, and if we would widen every bridge that everybody want widened, we just couldn't do it. Money, just.
Well, what about about the bridges that had the banisters cut off, that had banisters on them originally, why aren't they being replaced? Just mine, just my, I shouldn't say my bridge, the bridge on the Vet Road.
We have to go back to whoever, looked at the bridges and their recommendations.
One thing about that bridge, it's considered a fair bridge. It's not even classified as a poor bridge.
Right, the one on the Vet, correct?
Right, and we have
I
a
think it's
bunch
got a
of
good
them.
rating.
Yeah, it's got a good rating. We've got, I guess to be frank with you, if I was looking at bridges to replace, that one wouldn't even be on the radar screen.
Right, I agree with that. So I think you should take consideration to widen it out just a little bit for us. Not just for me, but for other people too.
I guess that's just what I tried to tell you, that we've got issues with bridges that are in far worse shape than this one.
Well, I consider this one to be a good bridge, but it's handicapping a lot of people, not just myself.
It's just not a simple add 2 foot of wood on it, or take the banisters off.
Well, why wouldn't it be?
Well, if you widen the boards, there would be nothing supporting the edges.
Who's gonna be driving on them anyway?
Well, but you just said you needed the width. I mean, you're-
Yeah, I do need the width, but you put it on
So
each side.
You're gonna have some, I understand it's probably a dual-wheel car.
Well, it would be a lot
We-
safer,
we-
hey, Mike, it would be a lot safer than some of the bridges we cross now without banisters.
But what I'm saying is, you're still gonna.
We have that much tire hanging over each side on one bridge. And we have no choice but to cross it. I mean, we can't cross the creek anywhere else.
But it will depend on the, and I understand the point, you'd have to see what the rating of that extra foot is, because you're gonna have X number of pounds even on that dual wheel.
What about bridges that we have to cross that don't have banisters on them? And it's not rated, well, it's about the same tonnage as that bridge.
Is it 16 foot too?
No, it's not 16 foot.
It's not 16.
No.
See,
You
I
know
was
which one I'm talking about, one north where Chuck lives. You just come down from the planks on it. That bridge lays there at an angle like this. And about that much of each tire sticks over the side of it.
There we go. 2 of them up at.
I call that kind of being unsafe. I mean, we cross it, we have no choice.
Well,
I know in 2014, we have a pretty serious goal of addressing a lot of these. Now, if you know a bridge, you know, that doesn't have a banister or something like that, please let us know. I mean, because, you know, not all of us cross everything, you know, there's quite a few bridges in the county, but I mean.
Do you need pictures of them bridges, or what do you need?
just locations.
Okay.
Yeah, locations of, if you see.
Because we can go, I think maybe we possibly, I mean, if we go back far enough and find out what the big bridge reports or inspection reports
Mhm.
on them, and if we miss something, then we should get them taken care of.
But you're not gonna do anything for my bridge, is that correct?
I think we followed what the bridge inspection, I mean, without going.
I mean, even if you had to spend $67,000 on a good bridge, I mean, you're not replacing the whole bridge.
Well, almost. What'd you say it's for?
53 foot.
53 foot.
What's a similar bridge that we've replaced recently?
Well, the estimate to replace this bridge is $260,000, and that was in 2010.
And I'm not asking you to replace the bridge. The bridge doesn't need replaced.
That's with a reinforced concrete bridge. If we would go in there and build it ourselves, just materials, I'd say you'd be around, probably between $70,000 and $80,000. That's no labor, if the county did it with their own forces.
Tubes will.
No, it's way too big
Not that
anymore.
Not at all. The bridge is barely big enough at times.
It's pretty good water flow through there.
It can, yes. It hasn't for a little while, but it sure can.
That's always the first question Chuck I have, because it's, I know a couple other counties are getting by, but, you know.
And there's a good bridge just about a few feet from this bridge. It's 18 foot wide. New. been replaced, when they replaced them, like, when was the big flood?
Yeah, it took out,
Or
I think
several.
six bridges in one night, or something like that. FEMA came in and replaced them.
I'll give you my opinion, you may like it, you may not. I would be for looking into what it would cost, but I would vote no if the amount to widen this particular bridge is quite a bit, knowing that this bridge is in fair shape versus we got quite a few that we know is in poor condition that need to be replaced. I think that's just common sense answer to you.
We will be faced one of these days to probably go up to call a 2-mile rule, when you get a real bad bridge, and it's one very heavy travel road, that road can be closed, and I got one right out there by me, it'll have to be closed someday.
Not really, because of the bridge, or what road's that on?
Huh?
What road's that on?
294. Right there in the Pankey feed yard, it won't affect, you guys at this point, but I mean, there's a bridge there, that goes across the road right off, and it's, it's pretty big span, and it handles a lot of water, and it's not in very good shape.
It's down to a 3-ton weight limit right now.
It's down, yeah, it used to be a pretty good bridge, but here again, they only have to go 1 mile really out of their way, so I mean, it's not as big an issue as Williams and other areas and stuff, but there are counties having to go to that because the funding just not coming to let us do these things. I mean, that's why we're looking at, anytime we can do a tube, we're looking at a tube.
That's, you can't do that with this bridge.
And we're trying to do as much as we can. I think hopefully, having a real bridge replacement program is gonna help us, or identifying, I mean, as far as, your circumstances with the bridges and rails, I mean, before our time, I mean, I know we're dealing with stuff that was, was done before us coming in, but,
I was told 20-some years ago, they had a kind of proposal the county to vote on for a major bridge replacement across the county. And one of the commissioners went out and campaigned pretty hard not to do it because they didn't think they needed it. And I've talked to several people that was convinced not to do it, and they say it's the worst mistake they ever made because most of the major bridges in the county would have been replaced by that time to do that, and they've been paid off by that. I'm not for sure that we shouldn't be looking at something, maybe not major, I mean, a real big deal, but with interest as low as it is, I'll be honest, I'm not one of these guys who likes to borrow money, but if you got a real long-term project that's gonna be good for 30, 40 years, and you can get money for 2% or whatever, and spread that out over time, I think it's something that we need to really look at, I really do. My kids would probably say, "What are you talking about? You wouldn't spend a dime on anything," but this is something I think that it would be, good to consider. It's gonna take a little time with planning and some input from, not us, I mean, I'm talking about township boards and community people, you gotta look at where it's gonna have the biggest impact and stuff, but, I sure wouldn't rule it out on my part of looking at something like that, so.
Now, that $67,000 now, was that with the county doing the?
No.
Oh, now, what
Well,
was the county?
no, it was,
Was that a county bid or a, independent contractor?
Well, they're probably figuring later, I think what he's figuring, they're probably figuring, what, if you figure labor.
trying to, no, I believe the 67,000 was using county forces. I think that's pretty much just, materials. Cause they were gonna put the 2 beams in the bridge, widen it out 2 feet on each side, and then they would have to put in the back wall, the wing walls, everything. I believe the 67,000 is just materials.
So that's not.
Now, part of that would actually improve the life of that bridge, right?
Yeah.
Considerably, probably half of that, wouldn't it? I'm guessing at that.
Yeah, I can't say for sure.
I mean,
I'm not an engineer.
I would say,
Yeah, it would make it a better bridge, there's no
I
doubt.
mean, we're not just widening the bridge out, we're improving the life of that bridge considerably, really. I think the county commissioners should look at that pretty hard. And I know $67,000 is a lot of money.
you,
thing we're looking at, I know your point, but the thing we're looking at is if we would go widen that bridge, then we'd have a room full of people in here saying, why did you widen this bridge? What are you gonna do for me?
Well, you got one person in here asking why that bridge was narrowed up and none of the others, why the banisters were put back on. You know, that, you see my side,
I think it's, but I'm still not clear on how it was narrowed. I mean, the bridge banister, that narrows your access, but if the banister's been where they should have been to begin with, it was still.
it'd been 16 foot wide.
But, yeah,
And what I'm saying, 40 years ago, 16 foot wide on that bridge was too narrow. So the banisters were pushed out, and I didn't do it, I know we do it. You know, we're talking something that I gotta deal with for probably 20 more years, and whoever after me has to deal with this bridge, and when it gets wide. And I bought a new combine, not a new one, but a pretty new combine, and it needed to have duals on it. Well, I couldn't put duals on it, I had to put singles on it to cross that bridge and another bridge. So, I think that's pretty unfair, really. Or stop, take the duals off, go to the other side, put them back on. Now, would you wanna do that? That's what it's forcing me to do, Mike.
Yeah, well, I understand, I know exactly, because we've already had another person up here because the bridge wasn't an issue until we got the combine this year that had duals.
Right.
And that's why, I mean, I just printed this off, but the guy that works for the county association, that there's Norm Bowers, he had a pretty good article about how farm equipment now is taking its toll on not only bridges, but roads and stuff too, and the issues that we're gonna be facing in the near future. But tell you what scared me one thing, and he pointed the same thing out. It's grain carts, and then like, of course, this had to do more, I think, up in Iowa, but the guys that have these big, like, I call them slurry tanks, in other words, liquid manure tanks, because of the amount of weight per axle is.
I've got 1,000 bushel grain cart.
Yeah.
And, well, you know what that weighs loaded with, you know, plus the tractor.
Right, and we hope that people wouldn't run those things up and down the road that you're gonna motor, I mean, they're kind of made for.
Well, I have to cross it to get, because I can't get the semi in there, because I can't cross this bridge now with the banisters on it from one
I
direction.
mean, semi can't even get across it,
No, you can't make the corner.
it's that sharp.
When the banisters were widened out, you could cross it.
Yeah, I can't see that.
Well,
If we took and cut the banisters off, would you take the liability?
No, well,
Well, then I don't know.
close the road, I'd take the reliability then if we could close that road. That was one of the reasons we wanted to close that road, over that bridge.
Oh, I know which bridge you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what you're talking about.
I do now, because, yeah, I've been.
I think you've been down there.
Yeah.
You understand where it is.
I think when you guys brought it up before,
Right.
I wanted to, you can look at all kinds of pictures, but until you're actually there to see, you can't appreciate what.
And there's never been an accident or anything there in my lifetime. Of course, I'm not saying there could be an accident.
But it's a township road, isn't it?
It's a township road, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So,
Yeah, I know exactly now, the light's on, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
yeah. Okay, well, I've taken up enough of your time.
Nope.
I just, think we ought to look at that, and that $67,000 as an investment on that bridge. Really?
Had the statute, you find that statute on the planking?
Oh, that planking,
I
all
emailed
that
it to
planking
you
is
last time.
if you got a tractor with lugs on it, so you don't tear the bridge up. That law goes way back. If you damage the bridge and you got so many days to notify the township or whatever, the county, and that really, I mean, I don't see how that can apply to us at all. So, yeah, it's got to do with lugs on tractors. So I'd say that was back in the late 1800s, 1900s, or later than that probably. But, did you look it up?
I emailed it to you while we were in the meeting, right? I emailed it to you.
Yeah, I think he was telling me about that. Isn't that correct? Isn't that kind of what that pertained to?
Well, I don't wanna.
I don't think it pertained to heavy loads or anything like that. So.
I don't agree with you, but I really don't wanna argue about it here.
Well, I'm not
For
either.
no reason.
I didn't read the email.
Okay.
So. And there's some roads in the county that have a weight restriction on them. Were you aware of that?
Roads.
Mm-hmm.
Every road does by state statute.
Well, there's one that's got like 15-ton restriction on it. It's Keenan Road, Kingman Road. Do you know, are you aware of that?
Nope.
Well, it is. There's
Is
a
that-
sign right up there, you know where the four-way stop is? Right, where Joe Sussbaum used to live. Well, there's the four, and then you turn and go south. There's a sign right there, just a few feet, that says 15-ton load limit. There's no bridge or anything there. Then the bridge has got 15-ton load limit on it too.
Well, it's probably, I would say it's to warn people
Over the bridge.
before they get to it, so they knew that they wouldn't be able to cross the
Well,
road.
why wouldn't it be clear up there?
So people wouldn't turn that way, they would know there's a weight.
So you say it has nothing to do with the weight on the road, correct?
No, it has nothing to do with weight.
Well, none of the other roads have, that's the reason I asked.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
See, like Morton Road, it's got 15-ton load limit on them bridges, but they don't have any sign up there where you enter the road. What would be different about them? Do we need to put a sign up there?
It was probably done for, I don't know, if they were, this was probably done before my time.
you know, to me, if it's an issue, you just take that sign down. I mean, I
Yeah.
told Matt, I mean, we worked on.
Well, sign don't bother me, but I'm just asking a question here why that
Well,
sign's up
yeah,
there.
but you was also saying those same tone of voice there that, you know, well, this road has 15-ton bridges, don't have a sign there, so we want.
The bridge does have a sign there,
The bridge, but what I'm saying.
and the road does
The
too.
15-ton sign doesn't necessarily even need to be there at the beginning of the road where we got the state statute, but I know that there was two, just out south of my, of our farm there was 2 speed limits, and they weren't even in a resolution of a certain speed limit. I mean, so signs just never been, you know, taken up, you know, to conform with the speed limit resolution that we just passed.
Well, I'm just curious how that sign was there.
Well, it's a good point, we could say,
Yeah, I'll just take it down.
take it down, it doesn't need to be there. We'll be able to put it up on a bridge if we got another one that's missing and stuff, so it's a good point.
Okay, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I really do think you should consider that.
Okay, that bridge. Okay. We will.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll wait for the interpretation was like getting,
Can you get some?
just amending the budget.
Budget for Center Village.
I know.
Well, so, we had an engineer do that, I mean, we're not trying to engineer this. I'm not an engineer, I can't do an engineer's job and design a bridge.
No.
Nor the engine. I mean, he could give you an opinion, but
He isn't going to do that.
that's.
I mean, he'll give me, he isn't gonna go out there and tell you how much it's gonna cost to build a bridge.
I think we wait till we get a bridge inspector or something, and we just re-inspect it or something, I don't know when we do it. Are we due next year, do something or not?
Yeah. Last one done in 2012. Actually, that's something we'll have to look at real quick, just so. I'm just starting on it, but this right here so far is my list of small bridges that could be replaced with culverts. This is after just talking with 2 townships and the ones that I know of. So we're gonna have our work cut out for us, just all ones we can replace with culverts.
Yeah, but that's a heck of a good start, because if they have to be any
The key word is it's a start.
Right.
We got, the sooner we get this signed and.
But these are ones we can do cheap, or, I shouldn't say cheap, economical.
low price.
And then the people in the communities will know that, yes, you're.
They'll see we're doing something.
And see we're doing something, and we're starting with this.
Get our money's worth out of the trencher.
What's that?
Get our money's worth out of the trencher.
Yeah. That's that's good, because I mean, I think that's really a great place, because I guess I still feel, as long as the bridges that we've got, we know it's just not bad shape, but people are aware of it, and they're posted right, you know, let's take them on. You might maybe one or two of them every year. I mean, if you're talking, you know, you're talking $60,000-$70,000.
Yeah, if we do, and that's all we have time to do, a couple of years.
That's all you have time to do, and to be fair to the taxpayers and everything, I mean, that's $1 million right there, if you replace 2 bridges.
With these culverts, we can get quite a few of them knocked
You can
out.
replace a lot of bridges, exactly.
I've heard from Grasshopper Township and of course Lancaster Township. Everybody had their meetings last night, so I should be hearing more input. So like I said, you can see, that's a pretty good list just from
2 townships.
2 townships.
2 out of 8.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Bonner's thinking about one bridge, is where we gotta think about several bridges. Yeah, it was.
I understand, I mean, I understand the whole thing, but we didn't make anybody go buy bigger parts, but,
Like I said,
did we?
if we widen that bridge, we have a whole room full of people up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I still think you can put it on the list, we need
Yeah, we can't keep sweeping it down the road, I mean, at some point you have to address all that, I mean.
But I think there's bigger issues than this bridge.
Well, I'm sure there are, it's just, we can only do so much, I think if we can at least start with a plan somewhere.
That's why I think next year we just start talking, and well, it takes a committee or whatever, we just start putting together some ideas and some plans and, you know.
Well, I'm hoping even, you know, this year get, you know, a lot of these small ones.
Sure, well, yeah, I think you'll be all right in your budget and stuff, but, you know, I think, along, you know, down the road, we need to be thinking about trying to get as many of these replaced, because as land use valuation goes up, the amount of tax dollars coming from that rural land, which is, we need that access, we need to try to make sure that.
Maybe we made a mistake in this conversation.
Well, that would've got rid of 2 bridges, but,
It wouldn't cause a bunch of other problems. There's a juvenile that I need to have a detention hearing on, I need to leave here in about 10 minutes, so, do we want to discuss courthouse security
Yes.
before we?
We get we do it here real quick, I think it's gonna take us 1-2 minute stops. Sorry, we need to get this one.
Sure.
It was on the agenda.
We're now.
It's on the agenda at 1:30.
Yeah, motion to go into a public hearing to, amend 2013 budget for Cedar Village.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The proposed amended change budget, adopted 2013 expenditures was originally $3,080,366. The proposed amended 2013 expenditures, due to increased costs of skilled care nursing, is now $3,288,084. And I know the revenues have account for that. The revenues have gone up as well, that will account for the additional expense. So any further discussion, comments?
Most of the guys are just saying,
Any further comments? That is a motion to close.
Do we need to put a budget around? Yeah, I do a close the budget.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to approve amended budget for Senior Village, proposed amended expenditures from $3,080,366 to $3,288,084.
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Laura,
How many?
Pauline, how many copies do you need?
Just at least find 2 of them.
Okay.
And how many signatures you need always?
I usually do 3.
You need just one, yes?
3?
Three signatures.
I would hope so.
the jails.
Well,
copies of these.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give us on, I guess you could sign it.
Okay, courthouse security.
Yeah, I think you need to go into executive session, for security measures, KSA 70.
You won't be here first,
Well, how late are you gonna be here?
We don't have a whole lot more.
I don't know that I need to be a part of the discussion on it.
Okay.
Maybe the first few minutes to tell you what I think the options are.
Okay, why don't you do that when you have to leave?
And if you have to leave, you have to leave.
Okay.
You can't vote anymore.
Right, right.
No offense.
I haven't tried.
Okay.
KSA 75-4319, subsection B 13, matters related to security measures, to discuss courthouse security.
And how long?
Half an hour?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be here for maybe the first 10 minutes of it.
Okay, so sheriff, counselor, Cristiano, commissioners, okay. I entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right there, so that would come out 10 after.
Peggy House had asked to be included by Sally.
I wouldn't think so, but, I think there was something about making room for the water softener maybe, so but it probably wouldn't hurt just get one to look at, I guess, tell us, I don't know
Of
what
course,
that
here, you say
360
there's
is
no
about.
water softeners anymore, they don't take them any down, almost on the wall.
Yeah, not for, no,
We need to find out who did it.
we'll be dumping salt 3 or 4 times a day if we put small ones.
These can have, some of these can have salt.
We'd have that 360 who did it. I can't remember who did that. There's somebody from out of town that had to do that for some reason.
I think somebody looked.
Joe Bowen would probably know. I thought it was from out of town.
Yes, Joe Bowen, that will have some more engineers.
That's Peggy, Peggy doesn't know.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Or ask whoever locally, this is kind of what we want, can you do it?
Yeah, we can do that.
But we just want to make sure that they know what they're doing, that we don't get something that, yeah, we got a good price on it, it's not really what we want. And I don't know what we need, you gotta know what we
Exactly.
need.
It's just hot water heater system.
I know the size.
We've got all the specs. Okay. We do have all those, and, Dirk's got all those written down.
I think you'd have to probably go up, without county plumbers to take widen. Yeah.
Caston, is
Caston.
Caston?
I think that's all it's putting up with me, if you're gonna keep it local, give those 3 people a shot, unless there's some reason that you know about. Taste in my house, they did a fantastic job. Allison, Marshall Street.
I did all my own, so, yeah, do things on myself.
Is that why you moved this other house?
The one I moved into is the one that flooded. I pull all my flooring up and, nice. But I don't know, is that gonna be something that we just, we would, as far as the federal money that to replace, to take care of those, would that be something that we transfer, or is it a?
Well, I think
Reimbursement.
after the first year, we can transfer that into the fund so that we can access it.
But I mean, as soon as I get like an exact bid, or, the cameras, like awfully high on what we're doing. Once I get this new sales, and we need to give me a decent quote, and I'll bring it up, and then we work on a van once that project's done.
I'd go as far as to check in, and if you did go with another brand or whatever, what all would you have to change?
Yeah, they'd have to provide that to us, they need to know. We just,
If
we want cameras.
Simple Mag or whatever you said, if they know, they think, if they think they got us over there, you're not gonna get a real good price. If they know you're the one we can go.
I've negotiated pretty hard with this guy a few times, he's come down, where I want every time, just little things, so, they're such a big company, I think, that they just think, deal with these counties and municipalities and stuff, they can do that kind of stuff, but as far as that van, trying to support. State contract. The Chevy one's not.
Does that
far
include
off.
all the equipment?
That's everything except the partitions,
Okay.
but,
And that's something you gotta go to a specialty company and do anyway.
yeah, the place in Tennessee that we haven't been installed.
So you're right there.
And actually, they work in, when I was with the sheriff's office, they were right next to each other in police, and they're dudes kind of.
So as far as equipment, you just transfer it from this one to like radios and that type of stuff, you have any equipment in this?
There's some stuff in there, but we just put one radio in, we wouldn't mess with that,
Didn't know what to do with that, your van now.
sell it, or try to sell it.
You don't have somebody.
When we went to that one conference, seemed like every county there was building a new prison, so I don't know if they're trying to get some of this excess, or will we lose some of our prisoners? I don't know, this may be a 1 or 2 year thing and done, but whatever it is, we have no control over that.
They're trying to give us more right now, and we don't have any room, we've got way too many. This time of year, our numbers awful high, and there's too many locals.
Tell the lawyers, get on stick and get it back.
Local judges. No, I can't really complain about it, because, those 10 or 12 guys are supplementing a lot of costs for us, but, really, $55 a day, and all actuality, probably clearing 30, so, maybe just a little less than that, I don't know. There's a long formula that we have to figure that out, so.
Well, I'd say you got the radios in your budget for next year, I'd say go ahead, my part, go ahead and start on that, and maybe hold off on the van for a while, so.
Wait, you mean cameras or good?
Cameras.
The cameras.
Oh, okay, you said radio?
Or go ahead, excuse me, go ahead and get the cameras, the ball rolling on them, and maybe hold off on the van.
Well, I know the issue with the van, but we gotta be able to transport them too, so I really don't wanna to lose that.
Well, I think knowing what you've got here, that we could transfer here after first year, I don't think I have any problem if you wanna check out his, and just, and we compare, we can still, even if they come in cheaper, we can still decide to go for the Ford, so.
I'm not partial to any of them, so, I'm not going to drive it, so typically, really.
No, it was just that, it was just an alternative, I didn't even know it existed, so I was like, that's interesting.
I knew, and they actually look a little more roomy, where they'd actually probably be a little better, but, as far as getting prisoners in that, I haven't been inside them, so I don't know.
I know if you drive it, you drive one of the others, it's 9 days.
All I know is not the way.
They handle it sometimes, but. Yeah.
Really?
Doesn't need to.
Well, they, I feel like more than suburban, to be honest with you.
So many towns got one, a silver one.
Yeah, it's Collins.
Oh, Collins, Jeremy Collins? Okay.
Well, probably would have run back Chris, I don't think I have a problem necessarily with the VIN revenues. I mean, I probably just want to check with Chris, see where we're at budget, like if that's, unless you check with them on as far as
I
that's
talked to him
going
the
in
other day about
general.
He kind of, got me to come up with like a wish list, that thing of things you.
So like starting next year, start taking all the.
That's up to you guys. I think it'd be great if we could,
We'll probably have a final, because these aren't final, Pauline, would you email us, these aren't final, because we've had stuff incurred.
No, they're not final
Yeah.
until we get all the
Probably wait till we get,
2013 bills now.
yeah, if we can maybe wait and see what our final,
Well,
more that we can make some decisions.
What you might wanna do is do the resolution, or the motion to move any, if there's any money or budget left.
Can we make a general one?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do a general one, just that if there's anything that you can move over into the capital outlay.
I see what you're saying. I think.
So that would cover him.
what type of issue would that cause on the, as far as for an account? Do we want to set up a account just for that, or just still leave it in the general? Or, because you don't want it to be a levy.
No, it won't be, if you put it into these.
It says non-levy, non-budget form.
Okay, so it would just stay in the current, wouldn't want to set up an account somewhere and get that way?
I would think you would.
In a way, I mean, I hate to get too many accounts, but same token, this would be for smaller emergency real these things.
Well, most of that stays in one account, it's just, you assign a separate account number. Correct.
Capital outlay improvement, do it
Well, this wouldn't be capital outlay for Ben.
for them.
It would be just like a contingent fund. I mean, you could, if you could assign just a separate account for it. I mean, we have,
It's the same principle, I think.
can we, also on that, to clean that budget sheet up, can we do something, maybe watch them get rid of the K-9 fund and the seat, child seat, whatever it is, loan
Is
program?
there money in the child seat one?
Yeah,
Not much.
Where do you wanna put, I mean, that one has to,
I would transfer it to something,
K-9, does it have anything?
like $6.
Yeah.
But I mean, just to delete them off, because it's not even something we need to have.
K-9?
Yeah,
We talked, Chris, about, I looked through that and I thought, man, we need to clean a lot of this.
First seat loaner, what I understand was at one time, which we give them still, and we install them for people. I guess they used to ask for donation, and then they would put that money in there. I don't know, because they're free, seats from the state on a grant, I think, but, so we treasure that.
Just need to move them over into the general fund, or?
I'm only talking $600 or something, maybe. Just to get off that, each line, I mean, there's no reason to even have them on there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know, do we need, I don't think we need to make a motion today on those to consolidate. We can do those at any time, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like the bin, I mean, we can put it up as a bin fund, you can, or?
We have to find out if Chris is counting on that bin money and so on.
That's why I just asked, that's why I
That's
said.
what
He,
gotta find out.
when he talked to me, he didn't even really know, when he acted like he knew about it. I mean, it was just, it's probably budgeted, some type of revenue in there this year.
Is it budgeted like in your fees, I mean, your
Yeah.
revenue estimation?
It's under law enforcement revenue.
It's probably under your law enforcement revenues, I bet.
I can't decipher it for this year, for 2013, but 2014 it was.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, 2014.
Not very
I
much
can
is-
send you detail if you want it. You want a detail? I can
Yeah.
just looking at it, it's,
Yeah, if you could, please.
okay.
Sure.
But I don't think it's, I didn't realize we did that many inspections, to be honest with you. I mean,
Well, I think we had projected, though, it was gonna generate close to that, because it would get real close to, it took care of the,
I-
officer, a part-time person.
yeah. Well, that was something else too. I can't remember what that was. I could pull mine out and see what I put in for that, but I can't. I don't remember putting anything on revenue, I didn't put that much. I think it was just a generic line of revenue too, if I remember.
For 2014.
Which will probably meet that next month on revenue.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily have a problem.
If we get low on local inmates, they'll want to give us some of the, Bureau of Prisons inmates, which you guys are a certain time. So, no problem with that. So we're, the ones that hold down just in the middle of the court hearings and stuff. We can want everybody to get possible.
I just sent them, this is on the bin money. From January to December.
You had $25.
Yeah, like 25, it was kind of just a rough guess,
What's that, show?
27, 140.
We got your one list for 14. Have you ever thought out down the road, 3 or 5 years, before you see some of your needs and needs?
On, as far as what?
Or your
is capital,
Yeah, I put it on that budget sheet that I submitted, you know, as far as vehicles and stuff, but we have to really look at probably some of the stuff in the jail before too long, because, we're trying, we actually had when we got some paint and stuff, started painting cells, when we got full, then we couldn't paint them, so, but, you know, some of the doors, they're gonna have to be replaced, and there's things like that. Of course, there's the roof too, I guess, you know, I was up there a couple weeks ago, there's issues up here, so. But it's something we really probably need to put down on paper and start looking at next couple of years. It's almost getting to that 15-year mark, it's gonna probably take a turn.
Yeah, the vehicles, I know, you know, we know that, for stuff like that, check the roof, or bridges, or doors, or
Carpet's gonna, soon probably, do a hole in the carpet right now.
Where's it?
Right outside, when you come in the office hallway. Portable cleaner.
Place it up. Yeah, I don't think we have a problem with trying to set aside. We're trying to do a better job planning forward if we can.
you know, if you need it, whether it come out of some bid money or general money.
Well, you know, the bid money's kind of one of those things that they're pushing for, they're probably having trouble to get a bill proposed this year to make sure the sheriff's office gets it back, because, well, they're gonna try. Just because it's not a,
They don't want to do it.
but that and it's not something that we have to do.
Speaking of bids, I thought we'd hear back from that one guy that went here, Rick, if that's all behind us now, or if somebody has to do with the bid, or something with the bid. Hadn't really.
He's been serving about six months, sitting downstairs. He got into, actually, we got him furloughed because he has to, kidney failure, liver failure or something. No, he's been in jail since about a week after that happened.
We discussed a little bit about the, drug communication. I don't know what's wrong with that, and what's wrong with it. I'm definitely 100% get that behind us. Whoever's gonna talk to whoever to do whatever, this can be done.
The one thing you may wanna do though, as far as like, especially when it comes to like funding, future funding, or especially with like radios, we know the 911 system, might wait until like the board makes, I'd probably have like the board make one big general recommendation on funding, you know, long-term funding sources of that, because.
I haven't made a decision.
No, I'm just saying like, you're gonna wanna have that board, the board itself has gotta make a presentation both, you know.
City and county.
Yeah, city manager and national county, just because that's gonna get you some more.
I don't think anybody's against that. I think it's, I made my point, you know, I think the users can present that to the commissions, and, I mean, that's a joint effort, that's what a joint
Yeah.
communication is. We need to have everybody sign off on it.
Sure.
And I don't see any of us ever want to make a up to $1 million purchase without somebody else backing it, you know, I mean, it's not, you know, something where we get radio fixed, I don't know, see why the board can't make that decision.
No, but like a major upgrade.
Major
That's what I
upgrade,
mean.
yeah. I 100% agree on that, that's,
Okay.
but I mean, I'd really like to see that even, yes. There's a, that's kind of my thought.
Well, Brian, I mean,
That made me suggest, saying, okay, city, you put 3 people on this board, whoever you put's fine. County puts 3 people on the board, and 1 rural fire department.
agree with the people that use the system, that depend on the system. With the fire chief, with the police chief, and public works. I could be either of the answers.
No, I don't think it said that, it just said it was leave it up to them to like explain, is what you're saying.
That's what I just passed on, and I understand what Jack's saying too. I mean, you wouldn't want to, somebody that really doesn't understand it or benefit or not benefit by being on the board making decisions.
No, I don't see it. I think if we spell it out in the resolution, or the agreement, local agreement, that, we answer to the city and county commission. I don't see, you can put a guideline there, for any purchases over a certain amount, you must get the board's approval, or at least one the chairman and the mayor's signature.
Well,
And that's not something you don't have boards ever to do, and go down to the back.
once your budget's approved, it'll stay in the budget anyway, so.
But the commissions have to approve, but I mean.
No, they'd have to bring a PO up, wouldn't they?
Well, no, I mean, you would have, if it's not an advisory board, you wouldn't, I mean, they would.
Yeah, I understand.
But like the overall budget each year, yeah, the commissions would have to, both commissions would have to sign off on it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, I guess that's, you're talking about when they make purchases.
Well, the purchases are gonna be, pretty minute, because a lot of the purchases out of joint communications right now, as far as, equipment goes, is done in a 911 fund.
That's right.
But the major upgrades, where if we have to, say we have to have a new radio, or we decide to fund all the radios through joint communications, then, our monthly loan payment, things like that, if we decide to go with a loan or whatever, those would be normal things that, before we even sign a loan, we come to commissions, get both of them to agree, we'll go ahead and do the $1,000 a month, whatever it is, and then you have to get signed off on that. I can't imagine what else there would be. There's not, the mics and stuff like that, or you're talking $100. They're not huge purchases.
They'd have to all funnel through coordinator anyway, so maybe that's where the purchases would have to go through.
Well, I think
You're running it through the county, I mean, all purchases that are purchased through notification will have to run through Atchison County.
Recommendations from the board to the rest of that, you would.
Oh, I wasn't even necessarily saying that, I was just.
I don't think the city's on it. I think the city wants to have at least one city and one county person overseeing that board, from what I understand.
I think that's where Pat was going, 3, 3, and 1, but I can't look that up.
The issue with, I really don't agree with EMS and Bill Fire. I mean,
They're heavy users, I mean, EMS is a heavy
EMS
user.
is a very heavy user, but they're not an employee of the county or city. At this
That
point.
could change.
Indirectly,
That
yeah.
could change it.
That's true.
Not
You're
that
right.
they're ever gonna make a decision to affect it, but,
True.
if they want to renew their contract, and, one of those things, but, rural fire, you're talking, and I don't want to count them out by any means, but they're making a pretty big decision for something that, is provided to them for nothing, more or less.
I know, but you also gotta get more because they're volunteering their time,
You
and
bet.
giving us a service, so I don't have a problem with having those on there, making a decision.
They're not getting nothing for nothing. We're part of the system paying, their constituents are paying for the sales tax. If the sales tax is used for that, their constituents are paying. So you can't, I understand what you're saying, they
I'm
don't.
not 100% against any of them being on, I'm just not, I'm not. I think that the main users of the system, which are what was originally put on the board, is plenty.
How many, what was that, what was the original? 5?
6, and trade-in 7.
Oh, okay, I think about like 4. Yeah.
We're discussing the joint.
Communications?
I told him that you thought maybe three and one, and, whatever, I'd like to get it over with and done.
Is Chris gone?
He went downstairs.
He's back downstairs.
I think maybe you and I and Chris ought to meet and see if we can get one that at least we're all on the same page before we ask the city.
I still, sticking to my original, is that the 6 users of the system, one representative from each, and, they report to the board of city and county commissioners.
So no odd number?
I don't think there'd ever be an issue.
Yeah.
You say the users, who would this be?
City, police, sheriff, fire, rural fire, EMS, and emergency. Angela.
Who are we that?
Trey.
Oh, I see, just the six, I see.
This is the 6th one?
Well, the seventh would be Trey, so.
Deputy, sheriff, EMS, rural fire, city fire, and west.
Makes sense to me, but we'll fly downtown here in a couple of months.
I think if we word it right, I mean, I think that the resolution reads that the city and county commissions have to agree on X, Y, and Z, and for anything to go, you know, major upgrades.
Yeah. What about guidance on like long-term like budgeting and stuff like that? What are you guys gonna do with that?
As far as,
Well, I mean, like, Ariga says it's not like a short-term budgeting thing, it's a long-term. What do you guys propose?
that's something for the board to have to discuss. I mean, we haven't had any meetings, because we haven't set up,
And you don't wanna have like even like just any like non-voting members on there, or?
but public meetings.
Well, I know, but I'm kinda like, I don't know how this will guys, and I don't know how that will go over with them, I'm not speaking for them. But then like, would you want somebody with like heavy budgeting experience, or?
Mike, he's done budgets for 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but you're thinking more, if we get into we're gonna make capital improvements, I mean, and I don't think it's that hard to do, it's just a matter of you gotta agree and how you're gonna fund it. That may be, how you fund it might be the determining factor whether the city buys it, too.
Well, and I think that's where it's, just the way you present it.
Probably.
I mean, at that point, I mean, if you guys sign off on something, what we propose, and then go to the city and say, no, then we're gonna have to look at it again.
Right, that's what I'm saying is, I mean, yeah, but I'm saying that could be the method and what you decide to do might be the determining factor when you get that agreement or not, so. Otherwise, I mean, if, under the present system, we can continue to fund day-to-day operations in terms of just operating expenses. As I've gathered just from visiting with you, and I think we all understand that it's the improvement of the communications system, a major capital investment that we're all concerned about.
Well, and I think not only that, but when there are issues within inside that office, I think it's better coming from a board than it is coming from one person. You know, if I have an issue with a dispatcher in there, I don't have a problem saying something to Kim about it, but I think it's better when everybody on that board kind of agrees and we can discuss the issue, if there ever is an issue like that, then we can.
Okay, so I see what you're saying, yeah,
Yeah.
the board becomes kind of a, okay.
The head of the operations more or less, I mean,
Okay.
it's, I mean, there's anybody on that board that has a problem with the way it's operating, but there always are things that need to change, and things that haven't been addressed in a while that need to be addressed. And it's not because of mismanaged, it's just because it hasn't been brought up, and lack of concern, maybe.
I can see your point to where it makes a lot of sense, to where the people that's really involved being on the board, for example, say I was on the board, I want my road changed, if I want the money to go to that, so you got a very valid point where the people that's really involved with it should be on the board.
And I think it's even gonna, probably, I don't know where we are on that solid waste committee, but I mean, they're probably even gonna have to join in with us a few times if that committee's still together.
I think they are, but they meet just
Quarterly.
Because, I mean, the joint communications, in my opinion, really got the shaft on this sales tax this year. And I think they got enough money to operate, and that's about it. And nobody even asked any questions, nobody had any concerns, nobody even cared about it. Now, I always lose some money, they'll be happy, you know. Well, and now a year later, after I've been pushing for this for 10 months, we're still in the same boat, you know.
You may have to have some joint meetings, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, but we're not.
As long as the funding mechanism is that.
We have to have these board staff.
Right, that's what I mean, but I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying.
I think Pat had a good point. Why don't you and Pat and Chris get together and come up with something, and then have a backup plan, you know, that's fair, just try to be fair about it, and have, you know, your reasons why you think it's fair. Go from there. It's a start. I mean, just waiting on them, waiting on us, waiting on them is not gonna get nothing done.
Yeah, if we, you know, you come back with plans, we like, we endorse it, then you take it to the city, and if we have to come back and modify it, let's just push on. I can live with what you propose, I mean,
I can't do it.
And, you know, as far as I've been involved in the law enforcement, that it was Mike, and John that kind of started it, and, I mean, I think there's more at one time, and it kind of got reduced to those three, and then it got reduced to just John. And I think that's where it's just kind of leveled off with that, and nothing really changed really, so I think it's important to get everybody back involved in it, especially with, you know, incidents like we were talking about earlier with Sandy Hook and those things. I mean, we would be in major trouble with something like that happening. So, with that,
Yes.
First,
what you're doing, if Chris and Pat are, just wait, let them see where it's at, have plan B kind of ready, but,
I'll get in contact with them.
yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else for keeping you up to work?
No, I got about 10 things just done.
Open mom, okay?
Yeah.
She got I just figured the doctor today, she got released to a cane today, so, which is pretty good.
She had surgery?
She had surgery, the night after.
Well, I must be a winner.
Exactly a week, before Christmas, she fell, they got her in that night. Got her
They cut it on the side or down the front?
Side. So replacement that night, and then she was out walking next day.
I just need a purchase order.
Sorry, Chase.
Yeah.
Pat, Jack,
We need a volunteer for, sobriety check tonight.
On what vacation?
start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about
He just like, he didn't stop it, you know, just, I looked at that doing something. But he's like that, that's the kind of thing, versus blinking down there.
I'll go with you, Chris. We'll set something up where we can try to fix it.
Thursday, late morning would be great for me. In general.
This is just the remaining documents on the
Mike and I looked at it.
They have it up and running.
Sounds good.
We did the addendum with the 80/20, and that's the business one 20%. So I didn't get that.
Are you able to print it for everything here is,
Printing invoices, the only issue that we're having is, the camera, because, well, the traffic will be a separate issue, but the camera is tied into a Wi-Fi instead of a closed circuit, so it has a very, very slow refresh rate. And we're also, we had 3 people work on the same system at the same time, and we had the phone system, the Howard, and then the scale people all work on the same breaker block, so it needs to get worked out, and it'll be good to go. Do you need anything else for me to attach to it before Friday?
Probably a copy of,
I can get a copy of the invoice and the addendum that has the number on it.
okay, so you want this paid on Friday?
One thing, I think, we got fined, you know, we need to have a nice professional sign, just not something on a piece of plywood pointing with an arrow.
Well, we do have that for right now, just in case they came back to see if we did anything. We also, because we need to get 2 new signs, because we do accept household hazardous waste and we do, accept C&D and some out-of-counter trash that we need to, redo our entrance signs. So, when we do that, we can also add in a screening area sign. We also need to, there was some controversy about, needing to post, because there was a sign that I repurposed, right in front of the scales. There was the one that said that all loads must be secured, for something, or violators will be prosecuted. And to my knowledge, we don't enforce secured loads, and I also heard that the highway patrol doesn't write. There was an issue with Bungie a couple years ago about securing loads.
I don't think that's true. I've seen highway patrol pull over people with unsecured loads all the time.
It has.
Ask Brian Clark, ask Brian Clark.
Okay.
He'll tell you right there.
Especially Missouri, but yeah, I think they do here in Ashland.
You get fined for that.
So that's going to be a new sign that I'm gonna move at the corner, because right now it's in front of it was in front of the scales, so we're gonna move that to the intersection of, Neosho and 286. So that
Going
anybody
out, so.
once you turn on to Neosho heading to the transfer station, it will say that you need to secure your load. It's still not gonna help, but at least that sign, the new sign with hours brightly posted.
Oh, yeah, I've had people ask about that. That'd be nice to have out front there, so you can just see.
So we need to redo that one, and with that, I'll also do a screening.
No, I mean,
Devonmont and Martin secure all their loads. They have tarps, they have the automated tarp on all their roll-offs. It's all the cell phones, the people that don't.
he's talked about that.
If, I would suggest waiting a little while, letting the tipping fee, kinda settle down, people getting all riled over that. You know, within the next, I'd say 6 to 8 months, we can talk about enforcing a tarping, rule where there might be a penalty if you bring an untarped load, because every time I come into town, I always pull over and pick up something off 286 heading to the transfer station, and every other, county does enforce that you need to secure your loads coming to the transfer station, mainly because theirs are off of interstate highways and ours is off of
I disagree with you, why let them get by 6 to 8 months, why not have them be aware of it and say, okay, you're aware of it, and don't do any, writing any tickets for 2 or 3 months, but don't give them 8 months and say, oh, by the way, we're gonna do this for you.
So like warning, just like,
Yes. Well, have it in place, but don't really penalize them yet, and let them be no.
do we?
Do we have one now?
I don't think so. I don't think we have a resolution that enforces it.
it's on the signs, that's what's weird though, it's on the signs and it's.
Well, the statute isn't cited in the sign, it just says
Yeah.
loads must be
I
secured.
saw that the day, we saw on the sign, I asked you, I was like, why didn't you realize we even had that?
It is a state, but I don't know if that applies to
just interstate roads or
Upon public roads.
public roads? We'll probably have to, if we're gonna fine or charge any kind of penalty at the transfer station, we'll probably have to come up with a resolution ourselves then. But if we can move that sign out to that corner, so that well, first of all, the other one was faded and it was about yay big. It was 30 inches by 30 inches. The other one will have to be significantly bigger, but if we redo those signs, then we'll put that out there and we'll start requiring people to secure their loads. And defining what a secured load is, just something tarp, something.
The statute says, no person shall operate on any highway, any vehicle with any load unless such load and any covering thereon is securely fastened so as to prevent the covering or load from becoming loose, detached, or any manner of hazard to other users of the highway. I do like to Jason.
Okay.
We have that place now, Pat?
That's a state statute.
Oh.
And so that would be enforceable for sure.
Okay. And I do think that it is, I mean, everybody else has something just because you don't want people bringing stuff in their flatbed and having it fly out and, you know, wasting our time tracking it down or littering on other people's properties along 286, so.
As you proceed into this, are you, I know it can't be too hard to do, but you be keeping track of how much fees we're collecting for C and D and
Mhm.
that all separate, so we can kind of monitor that as we go along.
Mhm. They all have the same charges, but they'll be under different categories. Once we get this next Monday is when the billing period starts, so within 30 days, we'll have the first round batch of invoices go out, and with that, the reports, and we'll know after 1 month what we're planning on taking in and from where. And as far as the fine goes, having everybody come across the scales will help a lot, because as of right now, somebody that knows that they're just bringing brush and leaves doesn't even stop at the transfer station itself. They just go right through to the burn pile, and unless we know, or watch them go across, we won't even know if they're back there or not. So having everybody come across the scales and having them directed to will also help us.
Well, you can also then check because whether there's boards mixed in there.
Right.
Because we just dealt with that here on that violation, on that non-compliance thing, whatever it is, so, but, you know, whether that can easily be hit, those kind of things can actually be hidden.
And I was kind of curious about, it said that we'd been cited on 2 different occasions, and then after they said to date, respondent has corrected the foregoing violations. So is this like a third warning we get a fine, or is this
That said, we got one on the sign before, this is the second warning on the sign and the first warning on the burning, wasn't it? Wasn't that what it said? Yeah, I find it hard to believe that.
I know that we were authorized October 25th, 2011 to have a burn pile, and then 2 weeks later, we were cited. That November 16th, 2011, we were cited. And that was for the burn pile, and then for the March 20th, 2013, that was for the screening area. So, we had been cited on 2 other occasions, and they just,
Yeah, but when you read, maybe you didn't get the list of corresponding letters, but it appeared to me that 2 of those non-compliance things were wrote off. The sign was the only thing.
well, Matt, I have to stop by Matt and get the file with all the,
You can have mine.
any amendments to our operations plan or anything that says we've addressed the situation? Or,
It definitely got addressed. I mean, the plan, these were in violation of what the plan is, right?
Well, it says in our operations plan that only leaves and brush get on the burn pile. The screening area, I can write that in.
That would be the list of the correspondence. The correspondence, and here is what the judgment came in. In the last correspondence, I think you're fine as April or May, that's how long it took them to make this.
Right. Yeah, this is, the citation is from March 20th. Representative conducted their...
I think they were having a Christmas party, they got some money.
So they went a little over.
I won't argue, well, we already got warned once. Well, we didn't get warned. I find it hard to believe we got to pay a fine on getting it. Now, once we was warned and we didn't correct it, I have no, problem getting fined on that.
There's also a number of other things that Matt was telling me that I need to check in with the KHE, because our C&D, for some reason, normal C&D, landfills, you were supposed to have, apply 2 feet of cover, to any exposed construction demolition every 180 days, and ours is every day. So there's no way that we can do that. So either I need to let them know because of our staff reductions that that's not even remotely possible, or if we can set something up where we'll do weekly cover. Because right now, weather hasn't permitted that, and we do have exposed C&D that doesn't have cover on it. But if we took the track loader up there either yesterday or the day before, when it was warm, it would have gotten stuck. So.
Did we ever check what Dennis is gonna do up here? Would that be something where I just push all that up there to them?
Well, that's the intent.
That's the intent, but,
Where that, you know?
last I checked, that was 3 months ago. They said 6 months would have been an optimistic, guess, 9 months to a year from 3 months ago. So check back in next budget cycle, or next time we do our budgeting, and see where their safety, because they were having issues with.
Who are you talking to there, Dennis?
Their attorneys.
Luke Spillmeyer?
Spillmeyer.
That's who you talk to.
And
Tell him to get off his desk. He's not hauling milk anymore, get off his desk.
Sounds like you got the wrong guy talking to him. Sounds like somebody knows him that good.
You should probably send a notice to Solid Waste Committee on those violations, just so you keep everybody in the loop.
Definitely, that's a good idea.
If you don't, then I'm sure they're.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in the press yet, but I'm sure.
It does have.
It's probably bad. Is it already?
You'll say it will be.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, like, anything that's already in the
Well,
press.
there's some major thing.
Well, I know, but I mean, I would get it sent out before, like, it can be something brief, just indicating, but it'd be better to have them here before the press gets over.
Well, we were just, we were just notified of the penalty. I hope that that's why you need that record of stuff right there.
Yeah.
And if you get time, go ahead and make copies and bring them back to them. You can have it, I don't know, because we haven't decided whether we're gonna try to have a hearing with it or not, so.
Well, I would like to have a hearing just so that for future purposes, having somebody out here and explain, okay, what can and can't.
No, we go down there.
Oh, of course. Either way, I mean, I have to meet with them on a number of other things.
I've been in these negotiations, we go down there.
All right, well,
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure we'll have to go down there.
Yeah, it would be over.
yeah.
And there'll be about 5 or 6 of them in a room, 1 or 2 of us. So our people.
And we have 13 days to file an appeal?
I dictated it,
Well, since you emailed.
yeah, I dictated it today, so.
Okay. So then they'll just let us know when they're gonna set up an appointment, and I just take a lot of pictures saying that you fixed it. Okay. Alright.
There's no pictures you can stop, because every time they come up and look, it says Atchison County has the cleanest landfill any place.
Oh, we do. It's just something about our C and D. I can get, Matt said that there was something different about it, that we have to take extra steps to maintain it. And then the burn pile, it's just us not doing a good job of making sure we know who's out there burning stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that, if you were back in the office, I said, you can't, that sounds like that's an employee, another employee problem that created that.
We don't require that. I mean, if somebody has, like I said, scrap or brush or leaves, they don't even bother stopping by. They don't even slow down, they just fly right onto the place that they're trying to go to. So if we're all busy doing something else, we don't even know they're back there, so.
One time we were out there at Scales, pickup went by, and he had big old windows, and he had a few tree limbs on top, and he went on back there.
If it's a mixed load, they just assume they know where they're gonna put it, and since we don't have any place, we don't require them to come up as of right now. Having everybody come on the scales means we get a chance to inspect what you are bringing in, where it's gonna go, and if we need somebody to follow you to the site to make sure half your load goes there.
Whose responsibility is it to sort that? Theirs or?
Theirs.
Yeah, because we have a liability issue, if you get up in there correctly,
Can we, but there's no ability to, like, the one thing I've always heard from people is like, we can't have somebody like help them drag stuff out of the back of their pickup, or we can help them unload? I help them unload, I mean, we ask them, would they like help, and if they say yes, then.
Well, I mean, I've seen older people out there that really have trouble like helping, but I've seen people not help them.
well, that's, you're in a gray area, but I mean, I think you can tell there's a situation where there's.
If they look healthy, they have no doubt about themselves.
But even if we're not doing anything, and that's the biggest thing, if somebody at 3 o'clock rolls in and they have 10 bags, go ahead and help, because it looks a lot better than just standing around watching them. And
Well, I think the worst thing you do is somebody just pulls up and they're sitting down in front of them. I think that is the worst message.
Right.
And it makes your day go by slow too.
Well, they should be watching, making sure what they're throwing in there is, it's bagged up, well, all right, still they need to show a little interest as to monitor what's being thrown in there, so.
Right. Well, it's something that we're trying to do in the past month is get people to, if you're not doing anything, help throw bags, because nobody's gonna, don't open their gate for them, don't open their trucks for them, but if you just see bags and you say all of it, start helping, because today was kind of interesting. We were down to one trailer, and we had 4 packers and like 5 cars all sitting there. So that was kind of interesting. But we just had set one bay out and said, anybody that's bringing their own stuff, come over here.
Did you get that, like, designated days for certain haulers? Would that help you? Have you got that together yet?
We have the city's schedules, and for the most part, we have Martin's and Neffenbaugh's schedules. It's just how long their routes take, because like today, Martin's took a little bit longer, and so they were off by about an hour or 2. And then the city, they also have to condense their special pickups, and Wednesday's not a big pickup day, but just holiday season's always gonna be interesting. We did see a lot of wrapping paper, but.
Probably boxes of cardboard.
Lots of cardboard box. Actually, today,
Nell Hills, has cardboard only compacted, and unfortunately, I guess they had a new driver today, and he dumped 40 compacted yards of cardboard in the trash. And it really screwed us up, because as soon as it's uncompacted, it's like letting the snake out of the can. It went everywhere, and that's what caused our hold up. It was actually, we had the line out to Neosho, so it was, but I mean, that's just going to happen some days, as long as we don't have people standing around.
3 days, some people.
Better get her out there now, because tomorrow we pay.
Yeah, one word of advice too is like the hours, make sure they, you know, if the hours say 4:30, make sure they close at 4:30.
No, well, it's
That's like a
it's
play
8 to
later.
4.
Oh, it's 8 to 4?
It's 8 to 4, Monday through Saturday. When I brought up the hours thing, it's the.
Track that, you'll be able to track that better, but.
Right, well, we'll be able to track what comes through when, but our hours are 8 to 4, and then, because somehow our time system's set up that they automatically clock out a half hour for lunch, and then make up that half hour after 4 o'clock. And, I mean, it costs about $8,000 annually in salaries for unproductive half hours. Not moving forward, because we're doing staff reductions, but it's still costly.
Yeah, and I think, you know, just something else to be thinking about, I just think we need to continue to look at possibly even at the Atchison station. I know we need to probably definitely look at Effingham station one day, starting earlier, so people that are either on the way to work to Atchison or to Effingham can come by and dump their trash, you know, maybe make it 7 to 3 instead of the 7 to, or 6, or, you know, start at 7 rather than 8 or something like that. You may want to do one day during the week for you know, other people that live from Lancaster on east that would come by, they can dump their trash off on their way to, you know, maybe something to look at when you have one of your days where you know that there's not a big volume coming in from Martin's or something later in the day, and you can shut down at 3 o'clock or something and start earlier, if you're watching your hours. But, you know, just so we can be accommodated, it's not that we have to, I'm just saying that if we can accommodate people as much as we can, let's do it. Because an 8 to 4, a person that works an 8 to 5 job, there ain't no way that they can dump the trash.
And I think that's why we have a Saturday full day, and people just don't realize we're open full day. They assume we're done at noon, or we're open a couple
Funny,
hours.
'cause I always hear like, we're not open late enough, that's what I usually hear too.
It's on Saturdays.
Well, yeah, Saturdays and or.
Well, that's just it. I mean, if people get off work, they'd like to be able to go out there, but you know, in the wintertime, when it's dark at 5:30, why do you want to be open until 6? I mean,
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Well, we've experimented with summer hours. Again, we don't have much data on how much we actually collected.
It's not something you have to implement, don't get me wrong. I mean, I just, looking down the road and stuff, I think that as we can modify convenience and stuff, people become more receptive and stuff, you know.
Yeah, but winter hours, you can probably run this side of the bar.
We think so.
Or change it around or something. I think you'd have more.
Well,
You'd have some data already to justify that.
the summer hours?
Well, I mean, just like, you know, which months, because we've been tracking stuff.
Right.
You probably have a better idea, like what comes, when you generate more, I would assume probably when it gets warmer, you probably have more.
Right. We're in our slower period. It varies year to year, but it's about 10% drop off in the average through December, January, and February. So, but with the staff reductions, we're gonna just try and figure out how to make it work 6 days a week, and then as.
Brown County does it, I think they do.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how they get away with it, because if we have an unattended pile, either they collect a whole lot in fines for unattended stuff, or people in Brown County just.
We still got that half guy you can, you know.
And he's,
swing in.
he'll be an option. He'll have to be a reserve if we have somebody calling sick, but.
I think, you know, working fair to county to county, but I think we need to compare how much trash, maybe they don't generate, maybe they got a bunch of people take their own trash.
Who?
Brown County.
He told me they handle 14,000 tons a year. That's 2,000 tons more than we do. Now, that's what he told me. Now, he said, I think the volume's down a little bit, because that's why they're thinking about rate to rate. But see, there's a Fall City turns all their trash dead contracts, so that's pretty significant. And that's the only transfer station too.
With, we'll just have to wait and see.
Definitely send them out to solid waste committee though, before
Yeah, the
everybody else,
notification.
you know, otherwise, just let them know what we're gonna, you know, what we got, and, you know, Pat is gonna file for, you know, seal for hearing, so just so everybody knows, that'd be,
Communication.
Exactly.
Whether it's good or bad or indifferent.
better be proactive with that one.
Well, where you're telling us, not like we're trying to hide it from our.
Exactly.
But we haven't got involved in it.
Surprise to almost all of us. It was a surprise for me.
Yeah. Off to a great start.
Hopefully be a slower, you know, it's a good time to be transitioning, the volume's down a little bit and stuff.
Yeah, that definitely helps. We'll have to look very, very seriously into equipment replacement, because we do have stuff that's over 20 years old that we will need to put together a replacement plan in the next
Anything
2
specific?
years. Loaders, they're just, you're patching, sealing, switching stuff out. I mean,
Oh, the track loader.
the track
Backhoe
loader,
or backhoes.
well, I mean, all three pieces of equipment are over 20 years old, but they're not gonna,
Backhoes we can do the 10-day program, we do the group.
I mean, if Bettis comes in, then we dial down our C&D operation, and we can get rid of one. I mean, we can play with a lot of.
Well, and see, you've got that dirt wagon, that, if that gets sold, that money will go into your capital outlay.
Yeah, crap, where were you at? We sold that yet?
No, except because now the season, I mean, they're not, it's kind of a dead issue, there's still a couple guys.
I thought next door, that the people next door were interested.
Well, I've heard it, but I've never heard no all.
We just like.
See, we should be out of Foley's.
Really? Too bad.
Yeah, we'll do that, and another thing for the budget upcoming in 2015 is to put together a kind of sinking fund for the closure, because we're gonna have to close the C&D at some point, 3 or 4 years down the road, so we can start putting away a little bit every year, so.
What do you mean by closing? I mean, you wouldn't have to, as long as you do, if you decide not to take safety, then you have to close it, but if you still offer it and you do take so.
It will extend the life.
It, yeah, extends the life, yeah, I see what you're saying, but.
Instead of paying $50,000 in one lump sum, be able to put away, you know, 10,000 here, 10,000 there, and then as it gets closer to a full closure date, we're not gonna take a $50,000 hit in 1 year.
It's gonna be interesting to see the state has been sent some surveys out about solid waste and stuff, because apparently, I mean, I think they're beginning to see issues, you know, with landfills and this and that stuff, and I'd be interested to see what they come up with in the next 3 or 4 years. Whether they just say tough luck counties are on their own, or whether they're gonna come up with some new things that we can do to help save money on, because, you know, it's a pretty expensive operation.
We can figure out a way to mothball it, I wonder if we could just figure out a way to like mothball it.
That's the plan, once Bettis gets operational.
Well, just because God forbid, we have a tornado or something like that, communities that have had major storm damage, I found that those have been pretty useful to be able to handle. Because I know Governor had to like declare an action, that to open up one down south, you've heard Joplin, all down through there, he had to declare it. He had to supersede PH to get them coming.
The sad thing is that probably about 70% of that trash out there that's sorted properly could have been burnt.
Could have been. that treated wood's kind of tricky, because it's an accelerant, it's,
It's not hurt any of the lumber again.
because it's all treated wood.
Yeah.
It'll burn.
It'll burn, oh, it'll burn quick. That's the reason we're not allowed to burn, because of the treatment, it acts as an accelerant, but.
You mean it's environmentally not, I mean, it puts off something bad, is that what it is?
Possibly.
Yeah, I thought so, I thought,
The old stuff had like arsenic in it.
Yeah, and,
The new
well,
stuff I don't think does.
depending on weather conditions, if you have
You're
an
using it
accelerant,
playground.
you're, like, if, say, for instance, if you're burning like 20 or 30 pallets, then the temperature, like 40 feet away, can exceed 100 degrees. You can inadvertently start another fire. I mean, the accelerant is pretty powerful. You can be a good 100 feet away, and you'll still fill a large bonfire of pallets. Know that from previous experience. So you burn treated wood.
Maybe that was just alcohol kicking in.
Well, it was cold that
Treated
day.
wood.
But
You know what, take care of some of that kind of stuff, you have one of the little concrete pit side of it. Very much of that stuff, and then whatever's left, you can still go in there and dive over and clean it out. Yeah, but we're dealing with state, we're still, we're dealing with environmental, so I understand.
Sure, back to,
Just get back to it.
when they want you to cut 2 foot zero every night, well, you wouldn't have a pit a month, and you'd have to go elsewhere. Is that
pretty
right?
much, well, depending on what your volume is, you would be forfeiting several acres, 2 feet at a time. You are gonna cut into.
geez, what I recall was that, C&D didn't require that, but just a general municipal solid waste landfill did. And we're not licensed as a C&D landfill, we're licensed as just a general municipal solid waste landfill, because the cost of getting recertified was prohibitive. And so that's what I remember from the discussion several years ago about our landfill.
If we need to get clarification when we have a hearing, get clarification, KDHE on that, do you think?
Because that was my understanding, is we did not have a C&D certified landfill, but we were using it for C&D. Because C&D is allowed in a municipal solid waste landfill.
Right.
But the municipal solid waste landfill regulations are a lot harsher, like it has to be covered every day, which probably would make sense if you had municipal solid waste, but it doesn't really, if you're talking about C&D stuff.
Well, I didn't have the previous complaint, so we'll look over that. And, as soon as we get back from the KDHE, then we'll go get an explanation.
I guess you know, after a day, you're fired from project manager.
Well, we got the rebate program redone, and then Chris is severely underappraised the amount of work that each individual project is gonna take if done correctly, so I'm not really that bummed about it.
You mean each revitalization,
The special projects management had the solid waste, had the revitalization, had budgeting for next budget cycle, and then trying to oversee the CIC, or be an auxiliary to the CIC transition, but yeah, that was entirely too much. But I'm glad it all happened, but wow.
So you're saying we're giving him too much?
No, I think that it being a separate position is appropriate. The special projects management position probably had to be broken up as individuals, because you want each issue being addressed individually, and with the.
well, the revitalization thing's pretty well taken care of, I mean, it should be ready to go. I mean, that was my deal, it's done now for 8 years.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that'll be nice. But,
you know, so that's in the forecast.
And the treasurer's gonna receive all the payments for the solid waste tipping fee?
I talked to Wes, and he suggested, because it will be a while before, or we're gonna have to wait and see how the clerks and the treasurer's offices can set up their transition. It would be much easier for us to take our payments and do the dual entry, use both systems until everyone's ready, because, the treasurer and the clerk's offices, they have their day-to-day, and then, you know, depending on when they're able to get onto the CIC, we're a small portion of what they do, so we can just handle it ourselves until the time. And we are gonna do checks only, we're not gonna do cash, we're not gonna do debit readers, we're gonna keep it simple for the first 6 months. We wanna get, if there's a demand for it, then we can adjust a little bit later, but.
Is that what Chris, did you run that by Chris, or, I mean, he's okay with doing that, or? As far as receipts?
Well, when I talked to Wes, he said they do that at the noxious weed department, and he has they don't have any issues, doing cash receipts at the noxious, or receiving payments at the noxious weed offices, so it really shouldn't be an issue, but.
You just have to make sure that's just another check for you, I mean, they'll have to make sure that.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Chris is gonna supersede what Wes says when he gets into accounting for those funds.
I think it'll work, don't get me wrong, I think, I know what they're saying too.
I see what you're saying. This is just temporary until.
Right, until we get everybody on the CIC, we're gonna have to use our scale software to do the invoicing and its own accounting, and then we'll keep track of it on the CIC, but because it is going to be dual entry
Yeah.
for the foreseeable future.
Now you just got a whole other matrix of, you gotta account for checks, you gotta have safety protocols with handling that money, that
Yes.
money's gotta be deposited.
Mhm. And.
That's the area where auditors love to pick you apart, is any area that handles any type of cash transaction.
You have to be sure you bring it in every day.
That's what I'm saying, like, are you sure you want that?
I do not want that, but.
And they say that they don't want the same person that
Yeah.
takes it in to, they don't want the same person to handle.
So if, say, I signed off on the receipts of all the checks for the invoices, then Stacy would go deliver it, or.
She'd have to do that, yeah.
Or
she'd
vice
have to do
versa.
that, yeah, one or the other.
Just run back, Chris.
I'll go ask him right now.
Yeah, he might be smart.
I will go ask him right now.
Do you want to do this motion just to, if there's any money or cash,
We have
in the
to-
fund?
Do we have to do that today?
I think we did, I think.
Is it by statute, or?
Well, I think your auditor would like it if you're gonna do 2013. It's just
It's a safety, I'm sure it's safe,
It's
because
a
we don't have to
safety.
designate amounts, all we have to do is make a resolution that we can transfer
a
from.
motion
Okay.
that you can transfer any excess 2013 budget and cash.
I move that we would move any 2013 budget, we can move that in to what?
Excess.
Excess.
Any excess year from 13, in 2014.
2014 into, well, you move it into any kind of fund you want, there's certain.
Well, you could either,
Any capital outlay fund,
Capital outlay fund, yeah.
that would include your special machinery or anything.
Yeah, there's various options, and even if there's something, if there ain't a whole lot left over, you don't even have to transfer, that just carries, right? We remember last year, we had a few small items we didn't even bother, it just rolls over in the cash balance, so, right.
yeah, I think you probably get specific, I think at some point you get specific on what stuff's transferred.
We do that, we'll do that after.
We will after I.
Towards the
all
end of January.
All the bills, we'll know for sure what you
Once
got.
we.
Yeah, because we don't even know what the ending balances are yet.
Not yet.
I still move that any ending balances of 2013 budget can be rolled into special funds of 2013.
A second, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
And, Pauline, when do we do the year-end balances, just so I know?
What?
When do we do the 2013 year-end balances?
We'd like to have all the bills in by at least the end of January.
Okay.
Do we send out a memo on that? We probably
We
should-
can,
Yeah, we probably should send a memo.
We might have one or two outstanding.
plus we need them before.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yes. I don't think we're looking at taking any action, so I think just simply not taking any action, basically, let's, you know.
Allows concealed carry.
But,
Yeah.
but I think we talked here and stuff, that we're still gonna proceed with doing some security procedures
Measures.
that would be, I mean, that would help.
Have been discussed previously.
Did somebody talk to Peggy?
Do we need to call her specifically on that?
Well, I can't, I just didn't know.
No, we did not call our conference call. When did she go on vacation? This week?
She's technically on, she just had to come back, I think, what he said. And she's staying local, I mean, it's not she's going on vacation. So your daughter's getting married here in
That's right.
10 days.
That's right.
I think they had an inspection, surprise inspection, so she came back.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't think she's left out, I think, because my daughter lives in St. Joe, they're preparing for the wedding.
Up there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna agree.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that adjourn the last meeting of 2013 at 4:58.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh,